Chapter 225. Genius in 1 Second. Remember Love Go? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Wang Yu had fought quite a few bosses on a daily basis. Due to the manual mode, most bosses' defense was practically useless against Wang Yu. A Love Go small talk, net only a boss with a full body of armor could slightly restrain Wang Yu. However, no matter how high the defense was, with Wang Yu's high skill completion, he could still deal significant damage. Even if the Nian boss activated Dusk's Guardian, a single punch from Wang Yu would still deal a few dozen damage. This Viper General was too strange. It did not have much armor, and Wang Yu's attacks were aimed at its vitals. Yet, he only managed to deal 1 damage. This was something that Wang Yu had never encountered before. This is forced damage. Apart from Wang Yu, everyone else was a veteran player. When they saw this scene, they immediately made a judgment and used Detect on the Viper General's head. As expected, the Viper General had an additional status called Nether Serpent's Firm. Wang Yu's attack did not work. The Viper General picked up its spear and stabbed at Wang Yu. Wang Yu hurriedly dodged and swung his staff, smashing it into the Viper General's head. -1. This ridiculing number floated up again. The Viper General was only slightly taken aback before it used triple strike. Wang Yu raised his staff to block and dispel the attack. Although it was not a big deal, Wang Yu discovered that not only had the Viper General's defense increased significantly, but even its strength had increased. The Viper General's strength was so great that Wang Yu's dispel did not have any effect. Instead, he was sent flying. -624 underblock. Wang Yu's HP of more than 1,000 was instantly reduced by more than half. Wuji hurriedly cast several heals on Wang Yu's head, restoring Wang Yu's HP. The others also took the opportunity to attack. The results were the same. Both magical and physical attacks only dealt -1 damage to the Viper Warrior. The Blood Alliance members were in despair. The Viper General had close to 50,000 HP. If they continued fighting like this, wouldn't they be fighting until tomorrow morning? Wuji said calmly, "Don't panic. There's no such thing as an unsolvable boss. This guy must have a weakness. Everyone, look around and see if there are any suspicious terrains." Terrain. When everyone heard this, they hurriedly looked around, but the scene in this shabby place was the same. It was just a cave, and there was nothing strange about it. That's impossible. Could the weakness be the boss's body? Wuji mumbled. He then asked Wang Yu, "Can you hold on?" "I can hold on." Wang Yu's staff was in a defensive stance, and he was able to utilize his control circle to its fullest extent, firmly trapping the Viper General within the control circle. 1 player and 1 monster, one could attack but couldn't, and the other could attack but couldn't. Neither could do anything to the other. When the Blood Alliance members saw Wang Yu's ferocious use of his staff, even causing the boss to cry out in pain, they could not help but be dumbfounded. While they were shocked, they suddenly felt a sense of balance in their hearts. Holy sh*t. Is this guy cheating? I can't believe I actually fought against such a monster. Including the Bird of Paradise, those who had been killed by Wang Yu all clicked their tongues. Those who had not been beaten by Wang Yu mocked. Nonsense, don't flatter yourself. You guys were just beaten, okay? F***ck, even the boss is being tortured by him. It's not embarrassing for us to be beaten by him. Blood Red War Flag said from the side. When Wuji heard this, he was speechless. It was not embarrassing to be tortured by someone else. The Blood Alliance really knew how to get back at him. Can we try to fight it in close combat? Wuji asked Wang Yu. Wang Yu also knew that the rod was useless against the Viper Warrior, so he decided to just defend and not attack. The rod was only able to block the Viper Warrior's spear and was unable to hit the Viper Warrior's body. Close combat? Yes, there is no terrain that counters it. Its weakness should be on its body, Wuji said. Okay. Wang Yu nodded and appeared behind the Viper General in a flash. The Viper General immediately used a sweeping attack, but Wang Yu leaped and dodged the sweeping attack. He then punched the back of the Viper General's head. The Viper General's body swayed slightly, and it turned its spear around and aimed at Wang Yu. In midair, Wang Yu quickly switched weapons. One long and one short sword appeared in his hands. Wang Yu quickly thrust out his long sword and used the gauntlet to block the spear. He then used the force to flip and dodge the Viper General's attack. He then used Thunder Stomp on the Viper General's face. The Viper General's strength and physique were significantly improved after being buffed by Nether Serpent's firm. Wang Yu's Thunder Stomp on the Viper General's face did not cause it to be pushed back. However, because the longsword in Wang Yu's hand had blocked the Viper General's spear, the Viper General's attack paused for a moment. Taking advantage of this pause, Wang Yu charged forward and stabbed the Viper General's temple with his short sword. Snakes don't have temples, right? It's that position. -1 again. Wang Yu sighed. The Viper General had already reacted. It swung its spear and wanted to fling Wang Yu away. Wang Yu extended his left hand and blocked the Viper General's spear with his short sword. Taking advantage of the Viper General's pause, Wang Yu stabbed the Viper General's throat with his long sword 1F***CK. Wang Yu was also stubborn. Since his two attacks did not work, he decided to go all out with the Viper General. He alternated between attacking and defending with his two swords. Every round, Wang Yu would stab a vital point of the Viper General. At this time, the others also attacked the Viper General, hoping to find a vital point. 5 minutes passed. From top to bottom, the group attacked all the vital points of the Viper General, including its eyes and lower body. However, without exception, all the attacks landed on the Viper General's body. F***CK, you've tried everything. Did you make a mistake? Wang Yu asked Wuji. No way. Is this boss really unbeatable? Did you hit the back of his neck? Wuji asked Wang Yu. Wang Yu said with disdain, hit the back of his neck? The back of a human's neck doesn't have a fatal acupuncture point. You're an amateur. Hearing this, Wuji's eyes lit up. Are you sure he's human? That's right. Hearing Wuji's words, Wang Yu also reacted. This was King Snake. Although it walked upright and had the body of a human, it was still a snake. After fighting with this fellow for so long, Shi Feng had actually started to think of it as a humanoid NPC. As the saying went, hit the snake's weak spot. Humans did not have any vital points on the back of their neck, but it was different for Snake. Who knew? Maybe the snake's weak spot was on the back of its neck. Thinking up to this point, Wang Yu stopped the Viper General's weapon, turned around, and moved behind the Viper General. With a slash of his sword, he cut open the Viper General's clothes, revealing its scaly body. Just below the Viper General's neck and shoulder, Wang Yu saw a red area the size of a bowl. It's here. Wang Yu shouted and stabbed with his sword. Chapter 226. Genius in 1 second. Remember Love Go? We provide you with exciting novels to read. 4215. A huge golden number appeared above the Viper Warrior's head. Critical hit. Roar! The Viper Warrior roared in pain and swept its spear over. Wang Yu pressed down on the Viper Warrior's shoulder with one hand and leaped high into the air, dodging the sweeping spear. She then pulled out the sword from the Viper Warrior's body and thrust the two swords, one long and one short, into the red area. 6215-8145. Under the continuous attacks, the damage became higher and higher. The Viper Warrior waved its spear wildly to protect itself. This boss was too strong, so Wang Yu didn't dare to take it head-on. She could only switch to her staff and jump in front of the Viper General, sticking to it from the front. The 4 thieves from Blood Alliance took this opportunity to run behind the Viper General and stab at the red area. Thieves had bonus attack power when attacking from the back. With 4 thieves attacking at the same time, the damage was quite impressive. The Viper Warrior was stuck in front of Wang Yu and had no time to worry about its back. After a few exchanges, it was taken down by the 4 thieves. At the same time, everyone received the quest Anaconda Calamity. After everyone saved their dungeon progress, they went to the boss's corpse and prepared to loot the equipment. However, the Blood Alliance members didn't start looting. Instead, they looked at Wang Yu and Wuji. Back then, Wuji and Blood Red War Flag had agreed that they would only have priority in choosing the equipment. They didn't say who would loot the equipment. However, the Blood Alliance members were still very sensible and left the looting opportunity to Wang Yu and Wuji. There was no helping it. The strength that the two had displayed had won everyone's respect. Running a dungeon relied 30% on luck and 70% on leadership. Under Wuji's command, they relied on their formation and fought a perfect wave of attacks without taking any damage. This kind of leadership and battlefield control wasn't something an ordinary player could achieve. If it weren't for Wuji's disgusting personality, Blood Red War Flag would have suspected that Wuji was an officer in the army in real life. As for Wang Yu, no one dared to doubt his strength anymore. He was able to single-handedly suppress the boss to the point where it didn't even have a chance to fight back. There wasn't a second person like him in the entire game world. If it was an ordinary person, they probably wouldn't even think of doing such a thing. However, the truth was right in front of them. Wang Yu was so awesome, and he was so awesome that no one could do anything about it. If the two of them were put together, the chemical reaction would not be as simple as 1 + 1. Moreover, there were many people like them in Chuanjin. Originally, the people from Blood Alliance were unhappy that they had been suppressed by Chuanjin in Yuhuiqing. After seeing the strength of the two, the people from Blood Alliance no longer felt humiliated. Just as Blood Red War Flag had said, losing to these people was not embarrassing. Seeing that everyone was so well behaved, Wuji could not refuse. He walked forward with a smile and started searching the Viper warrior's body. Love go little say, Netka Hurricane Snake Spear, Cavalry Lance, Silver, Attack, 24-72 mana, 14-56 plus 7 Vitality plus 11 Strength 2 Agility Sweeping Strike, Active Skill. Swings the lance and sends out a 650-yard attack, dealing AoE damage equal to the user's strength x3. Consumes 50 MP, cooldown 80 seconds. Snake Kiss. Passive skill, 30% chance of ignoring defense. Required class, Punisher. Required level, 20. Punisher was the title of a punishment knight at level 20. This class had the widest attack range out of all the melee classes. It also had powerful skills such as charge and stab, as well as aura skills that added attack. It was very strong in a 1v1. The weakness was that its attack speed was slightly slow. Although it was strong in a 1v1, warriors could use whirlwind slash. Thieves relied on burst attacks and had many skills. On the other hand, the Punisher only had charge and stab. In a group fight, other than the aura, it had no other use. This Hurricane Snake Spear had a sweeping strike skill, which made up for the Punisher's weak AoE attack. Snake Kiss could ignore defense, so it was comparable to gold equipment. There was only one paladin in the team, and there were no punishment paladins in Chuanjin. Wuji reluctantly threw the spear to Blood Red War Flag. Next, Wuji looted a skill book. Triple Strike, rare skill. Uses great strength to unleash 3 consecutive strike. Class requirement, Punisher, Weapon Master. This skill had high attack power and could move 3 times. It was a very strong skill. Blood Red War Flag had already obtained a weapon, so naturally, it couldn't get a skill. It said bitterly, why didn't you get a skill first? Wuji glanced at Blood Red War Flag and coldly said, you're the only one who can use the Hurricane Snake Spear, so it definitely won't fall into the hands of others. If the first person to use a skill, doesn't that mean you'll get 2? Guild Master, you're so shameless. Everyone criticized Blood Red War Flag. Blood Red War Flag looked aggrieved. Damn, I really didn't think of it that way. The last item was a special accessory, a nose ring. The system was really amusing. It even came up with something as non-mainstream as a nose ring. It really made everyone's jaws drop. However, the attributes of this nose ring were really good. Nether Snake Contract, Silver, Physical Defense, 12-12 Magic Resist, 12-12 Nether Snake's Firm, Active Skill, Double Attack and Defense for 30 seconds. Cooldown, 120 seconds. Nether Snake Voice, Passive Skill, Aggro plus 10 Required Class, General Level Requirement, 1 Increased Attack and Defense, Aggro. This thing was practically tailor-made for tank. Since it was a universal item and a special accessory, no one would complain about their high attribute. Therefore, everyone revealed a greedy look. Wuji didn't even look at them. He directly threw it into his pocket. F***ck, what do you mean? Everyone said angrily. Ask your boss. When we came in, we said that we have limited equipment choices. Wuji said calmly. Everyone looked at Blood Red War Flag. Blood Red War Flag said helplessly, that is indeed the case. Hearing Blood Red War Flag's words, the Blood Alliance members wanted to spit out blood. How could such an important power be given away? Wasn't this humiliating? Although they were depressed, after distributing the equipment, everyone continued to walk forward. Yesterday, when Blood Alliance was in Hurricane Cave, they were wiped out when they got to the Viper Warrior. Therefore, they didn't know what happened later on. Hurricane Cave seemed to be a snake hole. They walked for a long time and the scenery around them didn't change at all. After walking for close to 5 minutes, Wuji was the first to notice that something was wrong. He asked curiously, "Did you guys notice that we haven't met any monsters in a long time?" With Wuji's reminder, everyone also noticed that something was wrong. Most of the instance dungeons in the game had a single scene, so they would definitely not be too big. Hurricane Cave was just a low-level dungeon. 5 minutes was enough to cover more than half of the distance. How was it possible that they had not encountered any monsters after so long? Chapter 227. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Don't tell me we didn't move at all, Wuji said after thinking about it. How is that possible? Blood Red War Flag said, there's only one path in this cave. Are we supposed to go around in circles? That's hard to say. Haven't you heard of ghosts hitting the wall? Wuji rubbed his chin and mumbled, if only Brother Chun was here. Chun Xiang was a warlock and often dealt with ghosts and demons. He would definitely be able to find the reason. The Blood Alliance members were speechless. Ghosts hitting the wall. This was too ridiculous. Speaking of which, are there really ghosts in this world? Blood Red Knight asked carefully. Wuji asked back, there shouldn't be ghosts in real life, but can you guarantee that there are no ghosts in the game? Idiot. Ugh. Blood Red Knight was speechless and regretted it. He knew that Wuji's attitude was bad, but he still asked. If it really is ghosts hitting the wall, what should we do? Blood Red War Flag asked Wuji. Wuji was the leader of the team. Wuji said, touch the wall. In traditional online games, there would always be a map that was similar to a maze. Without an item to solve the maze, the most basic method was to touch the wall. This was because no matter how winding the maze was, it was just a straight line. As long as you touched the wall, you would always be able to reach the end. This so-called ghosts hitting the wall was just another type of maze. Everyone was in the same place and had no reference. Sticking to the wall was definitely the best method. Everyone heard this and quickly stuck to the wall on the right. Then, with the tank in front and the damage dealers in the back, they carefully moved along the wall. After walking for about 2 to 3 minutes, they finally met a monster. Flying Snake, LV-35, Elite, HP, 50,000 MP, 20,000 skills. Fly, dive, poison attack. These monsters floated at the top of the cave. After seeing everyone, they panicked and flew down from mid-air, starting to spit poison at them. The flying snake was not big and the cave was dark. No one could dodge it. Wang Yu was still fine. He was nimble, able to sense the flying snake's auras and skillfully dodge them. The others were miserable. After a round of venom attacks, they were green from head to toe. In order to clear this dungeon, the Blood Alliance players had brought many antidotes. However, what made them depressed was that the snake venom was too high level. Normal antidotes would require 3 to 5 bottles to cure it. Just as the poison in everyone's bodies was neutralized, the flying snakes swooped down once more, and everyone was poisoned once more. Everyone began the second round of detoxification in a flurry. Antidotes weren't cheap and normally they wouldn't be able to use them. Even when they were clearing the hurricane cave, they would only bring 8 to 10 bottles. In the end, after 2 rounds, Blood Alliance was out of money. The antidote was gone, but the monster was still there. Everyone started to panic. Only Wuji and Wang Yu calmly stood where they were and looked up at the sky. Wang Yu didn't need antidotes, but Wuji had prepared plenty of antidotes when he came. "Boss Wuji, give me a few bottles of antidote." Blood Red War Flag paid personally, so they naturally knew that Wuji had quite a few. Wuji said, 10 silver per bottle. F***CK. And you still want money? Blood Red War Flag was depressed. Does the shop not want money from me when I buy the antidote? Wuji asked. This is the money I paid for you. Blood Red War Flag said with a dark expression. Wuji shrugged. I know, but our agreement didn't say that I can give the supplies to you for free? F***CK. Blood Red War Flag was so depressed that they wanted to bang their heads against the wall. Don't be like that. Didn't you find those 3 studios to buy antidotes? You can just think of me as them. Wuji said with a smile. But this is too expensive. Blood Red War Flag said. The antidote in the shop was 5 silver per bottle, but here it was double. This guy was really black-hearted. Wuji said, Do you know the cost of transportation? Buying a Durex on Taobao costs $10, but they still charge you $20 for transportation. You're ruthless. I'll give you 5 gold coins, give me all the antidotes. While the two were talking, the flying snakes attacked again. Everyone was poisoned again. As they said this, Blood Red War Flag gave Wuji 5 gold coins. Wuji gave all the antidotes he had to Blood Red War Flag. He got the antidote. The Blood Alliance members felt much more at ease. Blood Red War Flag thought hatefully, Damn, you gave me all the antidotes. When you get poisoned, I'll make you cry. At this moment, the flying snakes dived for the 4th time. Just as the Blood Alliance members laughed evilly and wanted to see Wuji make a fool of himself, Wuji took out a torch. The flying snakes stopped around Wuji and didn't dare to fly forward. Damn! Blood Red War Flag was in tears. It seemed like they were tricked again. If you knew the flying snakes were afraid of fire, why didn't you take out the torch earlier? I just found out. Wuji pointed at the torch on the wall and said, I saw the flying snakes go around there, so I knew they were afraid of fire. You knew the flying snake's weakness, then why did you sell the antidote to me? Blood Red War Flag said angrily. I haven't even said anything yet, and you want to buy it from me. I thought you liked it. I don't discriminate against other people's special quirks. Wuji said with a smile. F***CK. Blood Red War Flag swallowed a mouthful of blood back into its stomach. Torch, do you want it? Wuji took out another bundle of torches. Yes. Blood Red War Flag was helpless. They didn't have the habit of bringing torches. 10 silver coins. Blood Red War Flag silently took out money and bought 13 torches. Wang Yu also took one from Wuji. With a torch in everyone's hands, the flying snakes didn't dare to fly down anymore. Blood Red War Flag said excitedly, If that's the case, let's go through. Don't you know that the aggro of the dungeon monsters is all over the dungeon? Wuji rolled his eyes at Blood Red War Flag and said, Can you still hold a torch in one hand and hit the monsters with the other? Wind Whisper. Shoot them down. Blood Red War Flag waved its hand and said to Blood Wind Whisper. Bloody Wind Whisperer said expressionlessly, "Boss, can't you be more realistic? Let's not talk about their small size and low hit rate. They're all elite monsters with 50,000 HP each. I'm the only one in our party who can hit them. How long will it take? What the hell do we do? We can't just stand here and watch them, right? We should have brought a few more archers." Blood Red War Flag scratched its head. The archer was a continuous damage output type. The monsters here had high attack and low defense, so the damage output of the team was a burst type. Bringing an archer was to attract the monsters. Chapter 228. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. That's easy. Just when everyone was at a loss, Wang Yu suddenly pointed at the sky and asked Wuji, "Say, if we throw a torch up there, will they come down?" Wuji said, "They will, but there won't be enough torches." The torch was a one-time use item. After igniting it, it could be held in one's hand or thrown into a bag. However, it didn't matter if you burned it or not. As long as you threw it out of your hand, the system would assume that it had been used. Then, you could no longer pick it up and could only wait for it to burn itself out. Torches were items that were rarely used. Wuji saw the word cave in the Hurricane Cave and bought some. His main goal was to make Blood Red War Flag bleed a little. In a situation where there weren't enough items, throwing a torch to scare the flying snakes down was not a good idea. "It's okay. It's enough." Wang Yu smiled. Holding the torch in one hand, he leaped onto the wall and flew up. When he was in midair, Wang Yu waved his right hand and the torch flew out of his hand. It just happened to be stuck in the gap between two rocks above him. With the torch on the top of the cave, the flying snakes did not dare to stay above and flew down in fear. The tanks used the torch to protect the damage dealers. The mages and archers took turns to attack. Wang Yu also occasionally threw out a telekinesis wave. Soon, the dozen flying snakes were swept away. After the flying snakes were killed, everyone was about to let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a red and yellow snake fell from the top of the cave. The snake was not as big as the snakes they encountered before. It was only half a meter long and its body exuded a misty aura. It gave off a very mysterious feeling. System notification: you have activated the dungeon quest. Illusion of mystery, it's the boss. When everyone saw the system notification, they immediately reacted. So, this little thing was actually the boss. This was really embarrassing for the boss. Illusionary Snake, LV35, Silver, Elite, Rare, HP, 5000 MP. Skills: Illusion Array, Illusion Riddle. Status: Illusion 100%. A boss with 5000 HP. Everyone was delighted. A boss only had so little HP. It couldn't even compare to a small monster. This was practically a free point. Wind Whisper beat him up. Blood Red War Flag did not wait for Wuji to speak and immediately gave Blood Whisper an order. Wuji frowned and said, "Don't hit him." Ever since Ghost Hits the Wall died, Wuji felt that something was wrong. Wuji had participated in the closed beta before. During the closed beta, there were also players who had attempted the Hurricane Cave. However, due to the limited time available, most of the players had only attempted the normal dungeons. They had rarely attempted the elite dungeons. It was common knowledge that the higher the difficulty of the dungeon, the more hidden bosses there would be. For example, this illusionary snake and the flying snake from before were things that Wuji had never heard of before. Since this boss was set here, it definitely had a reason for its existence. It was definitely not as simple as a monster with 5000 HP. Love Go Small say, Net Wuji's order was still a step too late. Blood Whisper's accurate shot hit the illusionary snake's body. The illusionary snake's body shook slightly and turned into Blood Whisper's appearance. Then, an arrow flew out and Blood Whisper turned into a white light on the spot. Damn! What a shameless boss! Everyone was shocked by this boss. Damn, he would turn into whoever attacked him. Then, the person who attacked him would receive full damage from him. Archer's HP was already very low. Blood Whisper was also a core expert of Blood Alliance. Naturally, his equipment was of the highest quality. In this attack, in order to show off, he specifically used the strongest level 20 marksman skill, accurate shot. As a result, he instantly killed himself. After Blood Whisper died, the boss illusionary snake suddenly spoke. Despicable invaders, although you have slaughtered my people, I prefer peace. Now I will give you a chance. As long as you answer my question correctly, you can pass. Can we trust him? Blood Red War Flag came over and asked Wuji. They had fought elite bosses before and knew that these kinds of bosses liked to trick people. This was especially true for the boss in front of them. What can we do if we don't trust him? Will we be able to cross it? Wuji asked. Blood Red War Flag looked at Wang Yu and said, Not even Yogo? Nonsense. You have seen this boss. If we were to really fight, Old Cow would definitely die the quickest. TCH. Wang Yu snorted to express his disdain. What question? Just say it. Wuji ignored Wang Yu's dissatisfaction and said to Illusionary Snake. Illusionary Snake cleared his throat. What thing? 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon. Human? Before Illusionary Snake could finish speaking, Wuji said impatiently, Do you Western fantasy bosses have any new ideas? You have the nerve to bring out such old riddles? Oh, you even learned to answer first. Illusionary Snake humorously said a classic line from Teacher Zhao. Then, he asked, Because of light I have lost light. If someone bestows light upon me, I will help his legs. Wuji helplessly raised the torch in his hand and said, Let's just use the torch. Can't you say something more difficult? Illusionary Snake was speechless for a moment and said, The F*King designer only gave me these riddles. What can I do? This thing has quite a temper. It actually directly scolded the designer. As expected of a god's curse. If it was me, Old Cow, I would also curse him. Next, Illusionary Snake continuously threw out a few riddles without exception. They were all riddles that had been solved by people hundreds of years ago. As the riddles continued, everyone gradually felt an aura of danger. This aura of danger was real. Even if everyone did not have a golden finger like Wang Yu, they could still feel the changes in Illusionary Snake. Originally, it was only a small snake that was half a meter long. Now, it had actually become a large snake that was more than 2 meters long. As Wuji continued to guess the riddles, its body continued to grow. Illusionary Snake, LV? Silver Boss, Elite, Rare, HP, 5000 MP. Skills: Illusion, Riddle. Status: Illusion 700%. Wuji, stop guessing. You've been tricked by a beast. Wang Yu hurriedly pulled Wuji and said. Wuji, who was currently showing off his knowledge to Illusionary Snake, was pulled back by Wang Yu. He also reacted. F***ck, did this guy eat hormones? You've fed him with your rich knowledge. Blood Red War Flag mocked. Wuji's face darkened and turned red. He could not help but say angrily, Mother ***, this beast actually dared to trick me. Wuji had dominated the game for so many years. He had always been the one setting traps for others. Who knew that he would meet a humble and studious NPC today? He showed off for a moment and fell into a trap. He had braved through great storms and waves, but he actually failed under the hands of an NPC. If news of this were to spread, he would definitely be laughed to death by those animals in Chuanjin. Chapter 229. The instance dungeons in Rebirth were meticulously designed by the game designers. These guys had always adhered to the principle of not paying with their lives. They added all kinds of IQ traps into the game, making the instance dungeons not a level that could be solved with just brute force alone. The illusionary snake in the Hurricane Cave was one of the most representative traps. The attributes of the illusionary snake were not high compared to the other bosses, but it had a particularly shameless skill, which was transmogrification. As long as it was attacked, the illusionary snake would transform into the appearance of the attacker and counterattack, ensuring that it was invincible. Then, he took the opportunity to ask the players questions. In the system's settings, these questions were the seals that God had placed on him. As long as the player answered a question correctly, the illusionary snake's seal would be removed by one layer. There was a total of 10 questions and 10 layers of seal. Every time a layer of seal was removed, the illusionary snake's attack attribute would double. Once all 10 layers of seal were removed, the illusionary snake would be able to take the initiative to attack. At that time, players would be able to exit the instance dungeon. This was because the illusionary snake, with all 10 layers of seal removed, was akin to a divine beast. It could easily kill any player. Actually, the way to deal with this guy was very simple, and that was to ignore his questions. As long as he could not answer his questions after 1 minute, the illusionary snake's strength would drop. After the player refused to answer 5 questions, the illusionary snake would leave on its own. At the same time, it would cast a debuff of -10 intelligence on the player. Of course, when players encountered such a problematic boss, they would definitely answer without hesitation. No one would have thought that the designer would set up such a wretched trap. Even Wuji, who had always set traps, had been tricked by the designer. This guy had answered 7 questions in one go, and the illusionary snake's strength had increased by 7 times. At this moment, even if Wuji knew the method to defeat the boss, it would probably be useless, because there were only 3 questions left. Classes with high attack power retreat. Tanks smash him. I don't believe it, Wuji said, flustered and exasperated. Tank classes had always had low attack but high defense. Even if the illusionary snakes transformed into their appearances and fought back, they should still be able to tank. After receiving Wuji's command, the bird of paradise charged over and smashed its shield bash onto the illusionary snake's head. The illusionary snake's figure flickered and transformed into the bird of paradise's appearance. Using the same method, it attacked the bird of paradise. 1798, an astonishing number floated above the bird of paradise's head, giving the bird of paradise a huge fright. The illusionary snake's shield bash had actually reduced a shield warrior's HP to 0. The cleric scrambled to restore the bird of paradise's HP. Wuji frowned and said, F***CK, that's 7 times the damage. Damn it. This is not going to be easy. If even a shield warrior, who had light hands, couldn't take it, how could anyone here have lower attack power than a shield warrior? Let me try. Wang Yu, who had been watching from the back, suddenly stood up. You? Forget it, go to the back and rest, Wuji said helplessly. Who didn't know that Wang Yu's attacks could take a life the moment he made a move? Within the entire team, there probably wasn't anyone with a higher attack power than him. If he were to fight against an illusionary snake, a single punch from him would probably cause the illusionary snake to die. It doesn't matter. Let me try. I think I can dodge his attack, Wang Yu said lightly. He dodged the attack? That's right. Wang Yu nodded. In system mode, the players' attacks were adjusted by the system. All of their skills followed the rules, so there were more flaws in their fighting style. For example, when a shield warrior used a shield strike, there would be a stun time. Illusionary Snake took advantage of this stun time to launch a counterattack. It was truly difficult for normal players to dodge. In manual mode, although there was also a stun time, this stun time could be adjusted according to the player's control. The higher the player's control, the shorter the stun time would be. For a martial arts expert like Wang Yu, the combination of skills was flawless, so the stun time would be reduced to the minimum. Then go and try. If you really can't do it, I'll resurrect you, Wuji said. When the Blood Alliance members heard this, they all glared at Wuji. Meow. He clearly had a resurrection skill, but he actually didn't let Blood Windwhisper use it. Wang Yu smiled and walked in front of Illusionary Snake. Illusionary Snake had killed one person and injured another, so it seemed to be in a good mood. It grinned and asked, "Are you here to answer a question?" Without saying anything, Wang Yu raised his fist and smashed it. Bo! Illusionary Snake's body shook and transformed into Wang Yu's appearance. It waved its fist and punched back. Wang Yu didn't panic. He moved his body to the side and dodged Illusionary Snake's attack. Illusionary Snake's attack didn't hit, so it followed suit and moved to the side. It can really be dodged. There's no use dodging. Illusionary Snake didn't even lose a single bit of health, the Blood Alliance members said in a depressed tone. Wuji was also furious. This thing was just too shameless. His attacks didn't have any effect at all. Was he really going to fail this dungeon? At this moment, Wang Yu suddenly took off all the equipment on his body, leaving only his system underwear. Everyone was shocked. Is Old Cow going to run around naked? Isn't it just a punch that didn't deal any damage? It's not that bad, right? His temper is just too bad. Just as everyone was puzzled, Wang Yu punched out again. What's the use of Boss Cow hitting him? Why won't he lose any health? Seeing this, everyone asked Wuji in confusion. I'm not sure either. Could it be that taking off his clothes would be more threatening? Just his upper body is fine, why would he take off his pants? Wuji was also confused. He really couldn't understand what Wang Yu was trying to do. Just as everyone was still guessing Wang Yu's identity, the next scene caused everyone's eyes to pop out of their sockets. Wang Yu did the same thing as before. He dodged Illusionary Snake's attack, and then punched his own head. That's right, he punched his own head. What made everyone even more dumbfounded was that Illusionary Snake followed suit and punched his own head with a purring. 5627A damage number floated above Illusionary Snake's head. Illusionary Snake's health bar emptied and fell to the ground. F***ck me. That's possible? After a while, everyone recovered from their shock. Even Wuji hit his own head and said, F***ck me, Old Cow, I really can't understand you anymore. Who would have thought that a boss in manual mode could be killed by you? How did you think of such a move? Wang Yu laughed mischievously and wore his equipment again. Then, he said to Wuji, when I hit him just now, I saw that he was even imitating my ineffective actions. I guessed that when this guy transforms into my appearance, the imitation is forced, and then you punched yourself? Wuji asked. Yeah, aren't you afraid of killing yourself? Wuji said in disdain. Rebirth was a new technology game. In order to prevent players from getting stuck in one place and not being able to get out, there was a suicide mode in PK mode where players could attack themselves. That's why I took off all my equipment. Wang Yu laughed. Chapter 230. In the game, the growth attributes of Grandmasters of Combat were very average. Generally speaking, they were considered to be agility damage dealers. They walked the path of combo attacks. Therefore, the attack attributes of Grandmasters of Combat were only slightly higher than those of Shield Bearers and Guardian Knights among the melee classes. The reason why Wang Yu's attack was so high, other than the bonus from manual mode, was because of his exquisite equipment. Although martial artists had higher stats, Wang Yu also added intelligence in addition to strength and agility. Therefore, Wang Yu's stats were similar to a normal Grandmaster of Combat after removing his equipment. A level 20 Grandmaster of Combat's HP was around 900 points. After Wang Yu took off all her equipment, a single punch from her dealt over 800 damage to him. On the other hand, Illusionary Snake had 7 times the damage, so a single punch could instantly kill him. Poor boss, it probably never thought that it would die in such a way. The Blood Alliance members exclaimed, so the game can be played like this. What an eye-opener. After everyone saved their progress, they started looting the boss. This time, Blood Red War Flag looted the boss because Wuji thought that the snake was too ugly and did not want to loot it. Therefore, he gave the chance to Blood Red War Flag. Wang Yu thought that it was because Wuji had been tricked by the snake before and felt conflicted. As the saying went, since ancient times, the luck of a spearman was E, and this was true. The Blood Red War Flag's luck was truly unscrupulous. They had touched it twice in a row, and it was all silver trash. On the third try, it was even bronze, while exploring the abyss, killing a silver elite boss and looting a bronze boss. This kind of outrageous luck was enough to make one's hair stand up. Everyone, including Wang Yu, criticized Blood Red War Flag's inhumanity. I can loot it one more time. If not, then forget it. After being criticized, Blood Red War Flag's face was full of despair. At this time, even he did not believe himself. He was afraid that he would loot another piece of white equipment. That would be so embarrassing. Everyone gritted their teeth. Loot it. This might be the last time you loot equipment in your life. Blood Red War Flag's face was bitter. He looted the illusionary snake again. This time, it was not equipment but a round white object. Eh? What is this? Everyone asked curiously. I don't know. There's no explanation. Blood Red War Flag sounded like it was about to cry. At least the first few items had stats, but this one didn't even say that Mingdu didn't have it. His illustrious reputation was ruined in a single day. Let me have a look. Wuji stretched out his hand. Here. Blood Red War Flag handed the orb to Wuji. Wuji held the ball and examined it for a long time before saying, I think this thing is round. Nonsense. Everyone was furious. Who couldn't tell? Think about it. Snakes are oviparous animals. This white round thing was found from its body. Could it be a pet egg? Wuji said slowly. Pet egg. Everyone was stunned. Is there a pet system in Rebirth? There is no introduction on the official website. Wuji shook his head and said, but it doesn't say that there is no such thing. Then how do you hatch this thing? Don't tell me you stuff it in your pants to hatch it. Haha, that's too funny. Wang Yu pointed at Wuji and laughed. Blood Red War Flag was speechless for a moment. Then, it pretended to understand and said, according to the novel, it should be a blood contract. Wuji looked at Blood Red War Flag in disdain and said, nonsense. This is an online game for all. It won't be so bloody. Even the health loss is a numerical representation. How do you drip blood? I think it's better to put it in your pants. Wang Yu stubbornly insisted on his point of view. Everyone simply ignored him. Wuji held the ball and said, if it's really a pet egg, it needs temperature to hatch. Snakes are cold-blooded animals. The incubation temperature is about 30 degrees. Wang Yu laughed and said, haha, I told you to put it in. Can you shut up? Wuji was furious and interrupted Wang Yu. Then, he raised the torch to roast the white ball. Gotcha! When the ball was still far away from the torch, it suddenly split open, and then a pink snake crawled out of it. Illusionary Snake, LV1. Rare, HP. 50 MP. 200 Skill. Illusion Boundary, active. Uses mana to set up a boundary. Can trap enemy targets within 5 levels. Consumes 40 MP per second. Owner, Wuji. Damn, it really is a pet egg. When Blood Red War Flag saw this, they were filled with regret. This was their first pet in the game. How could they give it to someone else? Seeing this little snake, Wuji was also very surprised. Although its attributes were a bit trash, Wuji had seen the illusion boundary skill. It was equivalent to a crowd control skill. It was very useful. However, this shape was a bit worrying. The pink snake had a big head and a small body. It looked very cartoonish and cute at first glance. In the outside world, Wuji was a guy with an unclear sexual orientation. If he brought a pink guy out, people would probably say that Wuji was AP*SSY on the forum the next morning. Old Cow had no idea what AP*SS was. It was just hearsay. Pure face. Daddy. Just as Wuji was still thinking about the pet's appearance, The first sentence from the little snake's mouth made everyone spit out a mouthful of blood. Daddy? What the F***? What kind of bad taste does the designer have? Wuji's head was even more swollen. The little snake was still minding its own business and circling around Wuji. It kept calling out, "Daddy, Daddy." Everyone laughed until their stomachs hurt. Laugh your ass. I'll kill whoever laughs later. Wuji glared at everyone. Who laughed? I didn't laugh. Everyone stood up to show their innocence, but the twisted expressions on their faces completely betrayed them. Wuji gritted his teeth and explained, "I'm sure that this little thing only knows how to say this sentence." Everyone nodded and made sounds of They were afraid that they would accidentally laugh. All right. Wuji sighed, grabbed the small snake, and stuffed it into his bag. He swore to himself that, unless it was absolutely necessary, he would never let this snake out in front of an outsider in this lifetime. In the end, Wuji also warned Wang Yu, "Don't tell anyone else in Chuanjin, understand?" I know. Wang Yu nodded repeatedly. Chuanjin was a group of bad friends. When they had nothing to do, they would make fun of each other. If they knew, they would use this matter to humiliate Wuji every day. All right, let's continue. Wuji glanced at the crowd and said in a displeased tone, "Okay." Chapter 231. After the illusionary snake was eliminated, the path in the hurricane cave became much clearer. After passing through the illusionary snake's area, the group came to a fork in the road. Left or right? Blood-red war flag asked Wuji. There was no mini-map in this type of cave dungeon. It was impossible to know which path led to the final boss. It's a tradition in online games. Turn right at the fork, Wuji said calmly. Turning right at the fork was the same as walking through a maze. It was an old rule in online games. The group did not refute and chose the right fork. Not long after, the group encountered a monster. Hidden Snake, LV35, Elite, HP, 20,000 MP, 1,000 skills. Stealth, Poison Fang ambush. These snakes were gray and blended in with the dark environment. If one did not observe carefully, it would be hard to notice them. The monsters in front would let out hissing sounds. The hidden snake was indeed silent when it moved. These hidden snakes were similar to the golden kite and silver kite from before. They were scattered and had chain aggro, so they could only fight one wave. With the light of the torch, the group was outside the aggro range of the hidden snake. After seeing the distribution and attributes of these monsters, their hearts almost jumped out. Stealth, as the name suggested, was a stealth skill. In the early stages without anti-stealth equipment, all monsters with stealth skills were the most hated by players. Poison Fang ambush was an ambush skill with poison attribute. This was a LV35 elite monster. If they were ambushed, even if they did not die, they would lose half their HP. Moreover, this scene did not have the terrain of the wall. If they used the same inverted 5 formation as before, even if they could withstand it, they would not be able to do anything to these monsters with stealth skills. It seemed like the Abyss dungeon was not that easy to clear. Don't panic. Seeing that everyone was panicking, Wuji quickly said, "Everyone retreat to the 5 o'clock direction." Hearing this, everyone followed Wuji and retreated to a narrower area. Wuji pointed to 2 rocks at the side and said, "2 shield bearers stand here." Bird of Paradise and Blood Red Wall walked to the position that Wuji pointed to. The Bird of Paradise measured the distance and said, "Even so, we can't stop it." The hurricane cave was more than 9 meters wide. The 2 shield bearers were standing between 2 large rocks with their shields, but they were only able to cover a distance of about 5 meters. There was still a gap of 4 meters between them. Wuji laughed and said, "What's there to block? Let's release them." Let them pass? Everyone was puzzled. What's the difference between that and a frontal attack? Wuji said, "The gap is too big. This way we can surround them and they won't be able to escape." Monsters that knew stealth were the same as thieves. They had decent explosive power, but their stamina and endurance were rather poor. If they couldn't kill their target in one hit, they would have to immediately run far away and find another opportunity. The biggest problem everyone was facing now was how to effectively trap these monsters. Without a warlock in the party, it would be more difficult to control the group. Not to mention that distortion had a prerequisite skill. Ordinary warlocks might not be able to control these hidden snakes. Therefore, Wuji wanted to use a formation to lead these monsters into an encirclement and then annihilate them in one fell swoop. Are you kidding? 14 people standing in a row is only 8 to 9 meters. If they can't even block the path, how are we going to surround them? Blood Red Warflag asked. Even though Blood Red Warflag was usually stupid, they also knew that if they wanted to surround someone, they had to at least have enough people. Wuji pointed behind the two shield bearers and said, "To deal with these low IQ monsters, as long as they don't lose their aggro, we can arrange the formation like this." As he spoke, Wuji used his finger to make a V shape. Formation again. Hearing Wuji say the word formation, the expressions of the Blood Red Alliance members immediately became serious, and their eyes revealed a desire to know. Those who played online games often knew that whether it was in dungeons or guild battles, those who fought randomly were just a motley crew. When the real big guilds fought in groups, they all had special positions. Under the same battle strength, if one cleverly arranged their positions, they could directly decide the outcome of a battle. However, normal players were a bunch of gaming geeks after all, and they could only come into contact with positions. As for formations, that was something even more profound. For people from big guilds like Blood Red Alliance, it was basically a strategic weapon. Therefore, when they heard Wuji talk about formations, everyone pricked up their ears. Formations were something used in ancient times. In this era, the sky was filled with planes and cannons. People nowadays even treated Kung Fu as a legend. Naturally, not many people knew about formations from the Cold Weapon era. Although most online games were set in the Cold Weapon era, players didn't even have enough time to play the game, so who would specially study such things? The people from Chuanjin were different from normal players. Chuanjin only had 6 people at the start. These 6 lawless fellows, every time they played a game, they would be chased by all sorts of people. After being chased for so long, these fellows developed the ability to fight against many. Everyone in the online gaming world knew that the people from Chuanjin were sinister and cunning, but none of the guilds that went against them were able to defend against them. Only today did the people from Blood Red Alliance find out that just by being sinister and cunning, a group of 6 wasn't enough to fight against so many big guilds. The reason why they were able to succeed was because of the legendary formation. The V-shaped formation was one of the formations of the Chuanjin sect. The first 2 points were the ambush positions. As long as the enemy was lured into the trap, the ambushers would block the way, and the enemy would be attacked from the back. This was just PvE, and the formation that Wuji designed was not very good. The 2 tanks at the front could only block the way, not an ambush. Behind the tanks were 4 thieves, and further back were Wang Yu and Blood Red Warflag protecting 3 priests and 2 mages. Everyone followed Wuji's instructions and formed a V formation. Wuji still occupied the last position. Looking down from above, the entire team's position looked like an open pocket. The extra Blood Red Shura was dumbfounded and asked Wuji, "Boss Wuji, what should I do?" Wuji pointed at the group of monsters not far away and said, "You go lure the monsters. I'm a warrior. You want me, a melee class, to lure the monsters?" "Boss Wuji, is there some misunderstanding between us?" Blood Red Shura suspected that Wuji was still holding a grudge against him. "What are you talking about? I'm asking you to lure the monsters, not to die. Why don't you stand here and be the healer?" This time, Blood Red Shura wanted to curse, but the words were stuck in his mouth, and he didn't dare to say them out loud. After all, the commander of the Instance dungeon was Wuji. With this guy's bad personality, He might let him lure the monsters this time, but next time, he might really send him to die. Chapter 232. The Crimson Shura was still an expert, so he had some real skill. He walked into the crowd of monsters and used taunt to successfully aggro the hidden snake. He then activated charge and ran back to where he came from. The aggro caused a chain reaction, causing all the hidden snakes to chase after him. They also activated stealth and disappeared from everyone's sight. As soon as the hidden snakes disappeared, Blood Red War Flag panicked. The target is gone, what do we do? After the target disappeared, there was no way to mark it. Even if they set up a formation, they couldn't even touch the target's shadow. How could they even surround it? I have my ways. Wuji smiled, still calm and collected. Since Wuji had set up this formation, he must have calculated this and naturally had a way to deal with it. Soon, the Scarlet Azura rushed into the middle of the formation. Seeing this, Wuji calmly took out a small cloth bag from his bag and threw it forward. A white mist floated over, and the ground seemed to be dyed with a layer of frost. All the hidden snakes could be seen clearly. What is this? The Blood Alliance members were shocked and asked curiously. Chuanjin's specialty, lime powder. It counters all kinds of stealth. Wuji introduced. Counters stealth? So that's how it's used. The Blood Alliance members were enlightened. Everyone present was an expert and usually went to the consignment shop to buy things, so they had seen lime powder in the consignment shop. However, their only impression of lime powder was that it was expensive. A trash material with no attributes actually dared to sell for 50 silver. As long as one wasn't an idiot, no one would buy it. They didn't expect that this trash-looking material was actually a powerful anti-stealth weapon. How annoying the thief profession was could be seen from everyone's attitude towards stealth monsters. So when everyone knew the use of lime powder, they were all shocked. At this time, the hidden snakes had already passed the 4 thieves and rushed to Blood Red War Flag and Wang Yu's side. Wuji said faintly, "Deactivate the array." When the Great Blood Wall and the Birds of Paradise heard this, they immediately turned around and blocked the entrance of the formation. Wang Yu and the Blood Red War Flag stepped in separately, gathering the rear of the formation. The melee classes gathered together, blocking the mages and priests outside of the formation. At the same time, 4 thieves appeared and attacked Hidden Snake. Then, Wuji shouted, "Whirlwind Slash!" After receiving the order, the Blood Shura roared, turned around, and activated Whirlwind Slash in the middle of the formation. How big could a circle formed by 10 people be? In such a small circle, no one could escape. The Bloody Shura's Whirlwind Slash had hit almost all the monsters, pulling their aggro. The 3 priests outside the formation began to heal at the same time. The Crimson Azura's body was covered in holy light. Under the siege of the snakes, it still stood strong. It slashed left and right, earning enough aggro. The thieves and mages were free to deal damage, so they didn't have to worry about an OT. Under the siege of the crowd, all the hidden snakes were destroyed in less than a few rounds. After successfully wiping out all the hidden snakes, Blood Red War Flag had a better understanding of how terrifying Wuji was. These were all monsters that could go into stealth. If Blood Red War Flag were to command them, they would definitely let the tanks pull the aggro. Against these monsters that could ambush, if they let the tanks use taunt to pull the aggro would quickly disperse. Once the aggro was dispersed, the safety of the other classes would decrease, and the pressure on the priests would be unprecedented. At that time, let alone 3 priests, even 5 priests could not guarantee that the team would not suffer any casualties. However, Wuji used a damage output class like the Bloody Shura to pull the aggro. Then, he lured the monsters into a prearranged encirclement. Then, he let the Bloody Shura release the most lethal Whirlwind Slash, firmly pulling the aggro. 1 priest couldn't save 2 people, but 3 priests should be able to pull one. Thinking of this, Blood Red War Flag looked at Wuji in amazement. If this guy really wanted to develop Chuanjin into a big guild, the #1 guild in the country would have been replaced long ago. Blood Red Warflag was still amazed by Wuji's commanding skills. Suddenly there was a change in the cave. Boom! Boom! The entire cave seemed to be in an earthquake. Gravel fell from the ceiling, and the ground trembled. The stone walls of the cave began to stretch and deform. The originally narrow cave quickly widened into a large hall. The stone pillars grew rapidly like bamboo shoots after the rain. In just a short while they had reached the top of the cave. The light inside the cave was much brighter than before. After the cut-scene animation ended, the gloomy hurricane cave completely changed. The scene that looked like a sewer turned into a palace. However, the palace was filled with stone pillars that were as thick as an arm. It was as if they had entered a forest. At the very end of the palace, there was a luxurious stone throne. On the throne was a strange creature with a human head and a snake's body. In the game, there were plenty of strange creatures. This one was considered normal. At least she looked good. System notification: you have activated the dungeon quest, Cursed Snake. Kill Snake Queen Angela 0-1. Reward: 40% completion. So, this is the legendary Angela. Everyone used their detection spells on her. Snake Queen Angela, level 35, Gold Boss, Elite, HP, 400,000 MP, 300,000 skills. Bone Corroding Poison Cloud, Kiss of Nightmare, Death Gaze, Stone Forest Guard status. Magic Scale Armor. Immune to magic attacks. Completely immune to non-sharp weapons. This boss's stats are a bit low. Wuji was surprised when he saw Angela's stats. Angela's skills were quite average, but her status was a bit disgusting. Magic immunity was fine. There were only 2 spellcasters in the team. One more or one less didn't really matter. Immunity to non-sharp weapons was a pain in the ass. In any online game, weapons were divided into 2 categories: sharp weapons and blunt weapons. For example, blades, swords, bows, and arrows were all sharp weapons. War hammers, magic staffs, and the like were blunt weapons. Since there was a Grandmaster of Combat in Rebirth, there was the almost nonsensical weapon called fist gloves. In the classification of weapons, fist gloves were also classified as blunt weapons in this team. The damage output that everyone relied on the most was not the archer or warrior, but the Grandmaster of Combat, Wang Yu. Although Grandmasters of Combat could use weapons of all professions, at the end of the day, the main weapon of the Grandmaster of Combat was still the fist gloves. Wang Yu sometimes used a staff, but like the fist gloves, they were both blunt weapons. If that's the case, doesn't that mean Wang Yu is just a decoration? Chapter 233. In Rebirth, weapons were divided into 2 types: attack and effect. The former represented damage, while the latter represented special effects. For example, if knee strike was ineffective, Wang Yu could at least forcefully grab and break super armor. As long as the skill was effective, Wang Yu would be able to crowd control the target. As for the damage, the others could do it. However, Angela was completely ineffective against non-sharp blade. In other words, not only was Wang Yu's attack ineffective, he could not even use his skills. What was more annoying was that the shield of a shield warrior was also a non-sharp blade weapon. If the shield was ineffective, there would be no frontliners in the team. This was a boss that could use poison. At this thought, everyone except Wang Yu could not help but feel a headache. Wang Yu did not feel anything because he was a noob in the game. He did not understand the classification of non-sharp weapons and the meaning of complete immunity. Why do you think there are these stone pillars in the palace? Wang Yu knocked on the stone pillar beside him and asked Wuji curiously. F***CK, don't touch it. Wuji was shocked and hurriedly pulled Wang Yu away. Wuji had tried this dungeon in normal mode during the closed beta. He knew that these stone pillars were actually seals inserted into Angela's body. Once they got close, it was equivalent to walking into Angela's aggro range. As expected, When Wang Yu knocked on the stone pillar, Angela immediately climbed up from the throne. "You mortals, lackeys of the holy court, are you the ones slaughtering my people?" Angela's voice wasn't loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Everyone's bodies trembled, and a buff appeared on their bodies. Voice of the Devil Snake. Movement speed reduced by 10%, lasts for 10 minutes. Everyone was shocked. This boss actually had a full-screen crowd control skill. Fortunately, the speed reduction was not that great. Wang Yu said unhappily, "My light faction reputation -200. What does that have to do with me? He's the lackey." As he said this, Wang Yu pointed at Blood Red War Flag. In the job description, the Punisher was a violent organization of the Holy Court. They were responsible for killing people to keep their mouths shut. Blood Red War Flag could not have been more suitable to be called a lackey. Blood Red War Flag looked aggrieved and looked at Wuji. Priests were also a profession in the Holy Court. Light priests were nicknamed the spokesperson of God. Wuji was furious. "Why the F***ck are you looking at me?" While they were talking, Angela had already passed through the stone forest and swam towards them while wagging her tail. Wang Yu was the closest to the front, and the monster was pulled by Wang Yu, so Angela was the first to attack Wang Yu. Angela's weapon was a longbow. With the sound of the bowstring, 3 jade-green arrows shot towards Wang Yu's position. Wang Yu wasn't afraid of Anne Ariel even though she had 4 arms and 4 legs, let alone Angela. Wang Yu waved his hand and slapped away the arrow. He activated Collapsing Fist and rushed to the front of Angela, smashing his fist towards Angela's face. Pring! With a muffled sound, Wang Yu's hand went limp. It was as if his fist had hit cotton, completely ineffective. A question mark appeared on Wang Yu's head. Everyone was shocked. Iron Ox doesn't look at the stats of the boss? Wuji facepalmed and sighed. This idiot is a gamer. He doesn't understand what Angela's status means. Gamer. The Blood Red Alliance members broke out in a cold sweat. This guy who could even torture the boss and make everyone in Yuhuiqing tremble in fear was actually a gamer. Who would believe this? Wang Yu's attack didn't work, so he punched again. Angela squinted her eyes and kissed Wang Yu. Wang Yu wanted to dodge, but his stats were limited and he wasn't strong enough. Angela directly kissed his face. F***ck. Everyone revealed an envious expression at the same time. The perverted bird of paradise said righteously, "Shouldn't the tankers be the ones to tank the monsters?" At this moment, a red heart symbol appeared on top of Wang Yu's head. Everyone could tell that he had been charmed. Pa! After a soft sound, Wang Yu's HP dropped by half. A cold wind blew from the back of everyone's head to their heels. "Go and help," Wuji ordered. The 3 warriors charged forward. Seeing this, Angela put away her bow and waved her hand. A cloud of poison mist shrouded over and trapped the 3 warriors inside. Angela's poison mist was quite strong. It reduced HP by a percentage and completely ignored defense and HP. Wang Yu and the others could clearly see that the 3 warriors' HP dropped rapidly. The priests couldn't revive them at all. 5 seconds later, 2 shield bearers and 1 weapon bearer turned into white light. At this moment, the 4 bandits also sneaked over. If one's proficiency in stealth was not high enough, it would be useless against monsters that were too much higher than one's level. Angela was a gold tier boss in manual mode, so she had a high insight into traps and stealth. Therefore, when the 4 bandits went behind Angela, she turned around. Swoosh, a white light flashed, and the 4 bandits turned into stone statues. Then, they shattered on the ground and died an extremely tragic death. However, their deaths were not without value. At least Wang Yu took this opportunity to flash to Blood Red War Flag's side. F***ck. Blood Red War Flag slapped its thigh and shouted. There were a total of 14 people in the team, and half of them died in an instant. The people who died were all classes that used sharp weapons. Apart from them, the only one left in the team who could effectively attack Angela was Blood Red War Flag. How could Blood Red War Flag not be depressed? This was a gold-tier boss. No matter how high the damage output of a punishment paladin was, Blood Red War Flag was not stupid enough to take on a boss alone. After Angela killed the 4 bandits, she passed by Wang Yu and rushed to the back. She casually covered the 2 priests at the back with a cloud of poison. Even the mages beside the priests were covered. The 4 of them did not even make a sound before they were poisoned into white light. Dogs of the Holy Court! All of you must die. Ha! Angela laughed like a crazy woman. She turned around and swam in the direction of Wang Yu's group. F***ck, why didn't she react when I hit her? Did the system make a mistake? Wang Yu asked in confusion. Wuji said, fists are useless against her. Sticks won't work either. Why? Wang Yu did not understand. Because that's how the system was set up. Wang Yu was speechless. Wuji understood Wang Yu the best. The world was big, but the system was the biggest. The system's setting blocked Wang Yu's 100,000 questions. What do we do now? Later, when Blood Red War Flag is entangled with the boss, we quickly leave the battle, and then leave the dungeon. Wang Yu was stunned for a moment and said, we received money. Isn't it bad to do this? As long as we can live, Blood Red War Flag won't say anything. In the game, they could still revive if they died. Naturally, it was better to have one less death. I can't do it. Wang Yu hesitated and said seriously. Chapter 234. Wang Yu was a martial artist and had a sense of responsibility in his bones. Therefore, even after mixing around with the Quan Zhen sect for so long, Wang Yu still hadn't learned the decisiveness to abandon his teammates at a critical moment. Ever since Wang Yu joined Xuanzhen had made many strategic changes due to danger. Although Chun Xiang was always the one to cover their retreat, Wang Yu persisted in fighting until Chun Xiang was safe. He was the last to leave. It was the same this time. Blood Red War Flag was his teammate. Moreover, they had paid him. They were his customers. It was not Wang Yu's style to abandon his customers or teammates when they were in danger. Are you stupid? Wuji said in disdain. You don't understand. You guys retreat first. I'll hold them off. Wang Yu said calmly. F***ck. Wuji said. Forget it. I won't retreat either. Why? Because I'm stupid. Wuji said with a dark face. Angela was getting closer and closer to the 3 of them. Seeing that she was about to attack Blood Red War Flag, Wang Yu snorted and went forward. Don't be rash. This boss is perfect. Wuji said that he had to think of a way to get rid of the boss and escape together. Then, he saw Wang Yu flip his hand and a 2-handed greatsword appeared in his hand. Wuji saw the greatsword in Wang Yu's hand and was surprised. Then, he said, this weapon looks familiar. It's from the same batch as Third Bao's. I made them both. Wang Yu said and showed Wuji the attributes of Mihir's Wrath. Not bad, young man. Wuji looked at the attributes of the weapon with envy. Wang Yu smiled and shouted at Blood Red War Flag, Old Blood, charge. Where? When Blood Red War Flag saw that Angela was right in front of them, they started to panic. This boss had killed 11 people without even taking a breather. Whatever, before Wang Yu could finish his sentence, Blood Red War Flag charged forward. At the same time, a cloud of poisonous mist enveloped the place where the Blood Red War Flag had just stood. Angela did not manage to hit the Blood Red War Flag. She turned around and charged at Wang Yu with her claws and fangs bared. At that moment, Wang Yu had already arrived in front of Angela. Angela pouted and kissed Wang Yu. Wang Yu had already expected this move from Angela. He jumped back lightly to put some distance between them. Then, he gripped his sword tightly with both hands and thrust it into Angela's face. 1789 Angela's head fell back and she screamed. Her eyes began to emit a gray light, Wang Yu's footwork blurred as he twisted and turned, dodging Angela's death stare. He turned behind Angela and swung his sword at the back of Angela's neck. 2452 Angela wasn't a strength-type boss. After being slashed by Wang Yu, she moved nearly half a meter away. Two-handed swords were very rare in the Chinese kung fu system. The specific moves had only appeared in recent times, so ancient families like the Wang family didn't deliberately collect them. Wang Yu didn't know how to use them either. There were many two-handed sword techniques in the kung fu system. Wang Yu simply used a sword instead of a sword. His saber technique was broad, heavy, and powerful. Although it was a little awkward to use the two-handed sword in the game, it had its own style. As Angela's skills were basically frontal attacks, the sword technique that Wang Yu was using was called backhand sword. Backhand sword was a typical skill-based assassination sword technique. Every move was close to the back of the opponent and aimed at the back of the neck. This sword technique required a high level of movement. In traditional weapons, it belonged to the dual-wielding style. However, this was in the game. Wang Yu had the teleportation skill and had also learned the Yang family's 7 steps of Astral Dipper. 7 steps of Astral Dipper was the general outline of Chinese kung fu's movement technique. Because of this, Wang Yu was able to perform this set of saber techniques with ease. Wang Yu's back-to-back knife, with a two-handed knife, had both the agility of a two-handed knife and the sturdiness of a single knife. Wang Yu's movements were also extremely accurate. Almost every knife cut Angela to the ground. Angela was an intelligent boss. Speed was not her strong point. Therefore, every time Angela wanted to attack Wang Yu would turn his feet slightly and go behind Angela. Then, he would slash the back of Angela's neck. It was as if he was attached to a bone and could not be removed. Angela could not do anything about it and could only scream in anger. Blood Red War Flag, who was waiting for death with its eyes closed, was not too surprised when it saw this scene. That was because it was almost numb to Wang Yu's strength. It was just strange. Why did Wang Yu not only have a stick on him, but also a knife? Old cow. I knew you were AF * King Genius. Wuji was originally in despair. He never expected Wang Yu's strength to be so overpowered that he could turn a dead end into a live one. At this moment, Wuji saw Wang Yu sticking to Angela's back and slashing. His thoughts immediately went back to the time in the beginner's village. Such a terrifying guy had killed the Silvermoon Wolf King alone. Even the method was similar. It was just that back then, he used his fist. Now, he was using a two-handed sword. Should we help Old Cow? Blood Red War Flag saw that Wang Yu was farming the boss alone. They did not know if it was because they were itching to get a share of the loot or because they felt embarrassed to just watch. Wuji said, "Help my ass. If you escape the battle, quickly find a place to hide. In this kind of battle, we'll be in trouble if we go." Angela was already anxious because of Wang Yu. She threw out bone-corroding poison mist and death gaze like they were free. Bone-corroding poison mist was an AoE skill. Death gaze could also impregnate anyone it stared at. Wang Yu had martial arts and could dodge the skills. Blood Red War Flag was a clumsy knight. If he went up, he would just be looking for trouble. Wang Yu did not dare to underestimate Angela's skills. From start to finish, Wang Yu kept his eyes on Angela, not daring to relax at all. When Angela raised her arm, it meant that she was going to use poison. When she shook her head, it meant that she was going to stare. When he found the time to release the skill, Wang Yu would dodge the skill's range before Angela used it, and then counterattack. Lunge up to bind one's head, chop, back chop, neck. Wang Yu's expression was serious. He was meticulous as he slashed at Angela's back. Blood Red War Flag followed Wuji and hid behind the stone pillar. It stared at Wang Yu's sword slashing horizontally and vertically. It was mesmerized by the sight. It had never thought that slashing people could be so entertaining. This is an AI boss. Blood Red War Flag sighed. Wuji was disdainful. What AI? If she really is a high AI, she should have thrown a poison mist behind her. Who knows, we might already be out of the dungeon. Blood-red war flag hurriedly covered Wuji's mouth. Keep your voice down. These bosses have the ability to learn. Chapter 235. Hee hee. Seeing Angela's action, Wuji smiled, revealing an expression as if his plan had succeeded. Angela was shocked when she saw Wuji's smile. She suddenly reacted, but it was too late. Wang Yu held his sword with both hands and had already run in front of Angela. He raised his sword from bottom to top and lifted Angela's chin. Wang Yu's two-handed sword was extremely powerful. As a sorcerer, Angela had the size of a normal person. She was directly knocked into the air by Wang Yu's sword. In online games, there were many techniques for combos. There were also many techniques for blocking and recovering. If one wanted Wuji to achieve the desired combo effect, the best way was to control the target. Knocking someone into the air was undoubtedly the most perfect prelude to a combo. When the target was in the air, it was difficult to complete most of the moves. Hence, it was not easy to recover. Hence, as long as the rhythm was well controlled, one would be able to achieve a terrifying burst of power after being knocked into the air. In the holographic mode, the effects of attacks were more in line with the rules of reality. Everyone had the assistance of the system when playing games, but the system would not go overboard. For example, the blind skill did not have to be thrown at the target's eyes. It only had to be thrown at the target's face. If it was thrown at the back of the target's head, it would be too unscientific. It was the same for the knock-up effect. In Rebirth, to achieve the knock-up effect, one had to attack the target from the front. Angela's skills were all direct attacks. Death Gaze was still fine as it was an instant damage output skill. It did not have a continuous effect. One just had to dodge or interrupt it. However, this poison mist skill had a continuous effect for 5 seconds. In this way, Wang Yu had no way of attacking Angela head-on. Wuji's eyes were very sharp. He saw that Wang Yu wanted to attack head-on a few times but was forced back by Angela. Hence, he immediately guessed what Wang Yu was thinking and said that. After all, it was the system's AI. Compared to real humans, its techniques might be far superior, but its adaptability would always be slightly inferior. Wang Yu's attack was successful, and Angela was lifted into the air. She immediately switched to the 9-ring saber technique, which was mainly used for close-range assassination, and changed to the 9-ring saber technique. Meteor Lightning 8 Storm Strophyllum Fragmentum, swallow the moon and swallow the sun. The long sword in Wang Yu's hand turned into a knife and continuously slashed at Angela's body. When Angela's levitation effect ended and she landed on the ground, Wang Yu used somersault and flipped her up again. Poor Angela. One wrong step and she would regret it for the rest of her life. Wang Yu did not give Angela any chance to fight back. 1785-1459-2451. A series of numbers appeared above Angela's head. Angela's health bar dropped at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wang Yu's 9-ring blade technique had a total of 9 sets, divided into 36 paths. Wang Yu had used the technique from start to finish and from end to end back to front 4 times. Angela's HP had finally dropped to 30%. You despicable lackeys! Angela, who was at critical health, suddenly roared. Then, a green light enveloped her. Sigh, this woman doesn't know how to change the word. Is lackey that easy to say? Wang Yu secretly despised Angela. At the same time, he put away his sword and jumped back a few meters, escaping from Angela's attack range. Come and feel the anger of the nether serpents. Angela spread her arms and shouted crazily. The door is wide open. Seeing this, Wang Yu secretly rejoiced and rushed forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! Before Wang Yu could rush out a few steps, he suddenly felt a tremor under his feet. F***ck. Wang Yu looked down and saw more than 10 stone pillars bursting out from under his feet. Wang Yu hurriedly turned his body sideways, swung his hips, twisted his waist, and dodged the stone pillar that rose from the ground. Just as he was about to continue forward, "Pa!" a crisp sound rang out. Wang Yu's longsword was stuck between 2 stone pillars. Wang Yu sweated profusely. The stone pillars that Angela had summoned were the same as the stone forest in the palace. The gap between them was very small, and only one person could pass through at a time. It was very inconvenient to move with a weapon in one's hand. At this moment, Angela raised her hand, and a green poisonous fog shrouded over. Wang Yu had no choice but to put away his two-handed sword and retreat out of the range of the stone forest. It wasn't easy to run away after beating someone up. Angela hated Wang Yu to the core. She didn't even have to deliberately make him hate her. She directly chased after him. Wang Yu's original intention was to lure Angela out of the stone forest and then kill her. Who knew that this stone forest could actually move? Wherever Angela went, the stone forest followed. The shamelessness of the system really made people want to curse out loud. Old cow, King run to the right. Wuji hid behind another stone forest and shouted at Wang Yu. As Wang Yu ran to the right, he was puzzled. There's no point in running to the right. It's working if you lure her away, Wuji said. The direction that Wang Yu ran to the right was the wall. Angela's stone forest covered a very large area. Under Angela's pursuit, Wang Yu was blocked at the corner of the wall. The 2 dogs of the Holy Dynasty are over there. My reputation in the Light faction -200. Wang Yu felt more wronged than anyone else. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Since they were all people who were harmed by the Holy Dynasty, they should be able to appreciate each other. Why did they have to kill each other? Angela naturally wouldn't be so easily bewitched. She snorted coldly and ignored Wang Yu's nonsense. She stared at him and released Death Stare. Wang Yu rolled on the ground and dodged Death Stare. Angela took a few steps forward and completely blocked Wang Yu at the corner of the wall. After being sealed by the stone forest, Wang Yu had no other way. The gap between the stone pillars was less than a meter. Wang Yu, who was a big guy, was naturally not as agile as Angela, who had a slender body. More importantly, Wang Yu couldn't use his current abilities at all. The length of the longsword was about 1.5 meters. In this stone forest, it was difficult to hold it in one's hand. Not to mention brandishing it, it was inconvenient to use it because it was too long. Moreover, in Western fantasy games, longswords were mostly used for slashing. Stabbing was more like a lance. Hence, this terrain was only suitable for short weapons like gloves and daggers. However, Wang Yu didn't have a dagger and the gloves weren't effective against Angela. Without the ability to attack, Wang Yu was like a tiger that had its teeth pulled out. He could only dodge and couldn't fight back. In contrast to Wang Yu's predicament, Angela was like a fish in water. She swung her tail and circled around the stone pillar. Then, she pounced at Wang Yu from above. Wang Yu flipped through his backpack as he dodged Angela's attacks. He mumbled, "Damn, if I don't have a dagger, a crossbow will do too. This looks good." Chapter 236. As he spoke, Wang Yu pulled out a strange long sword with a scabbard from his backpack. At this time, Angela had already pounced in front of Wang Yu. Wang Yu took a step forward, grabbed the scabbard with his left hand, and grabbed the hilt with his right hand. He suddenly pulled out the sword. Sizzle, with a piercing sound, Angela was pushed back. At the same time, a damage value of -1942 appeared above Angela's head. What the hell? Blood Red War Flag and Wuji, who were not far away, were stunned when they saw the damage value above Angela's head. Angela was also shocked. She raised both her arms, and the poison cloud continued to envelop her. The strange long sword in Wang Yu's hand suddenly grew longer. Wang Yu pushed the long sword downwards and flew diagonally backward. Angela followed. Wang Yu threw the long sword forward, grabbed the stone pillar with both hands, and flew in a circle behind Angela. Then, he reached out and grabbed the long sword. Angela hurriedly turned around and attacked Wang Yu with Kiss of Nightmare. The long sword in Wang Yu's hand suddenly split into two. The scabbard in his left hand blocked Angela's mouth, and the sharp sword in his right hand stabbed into Angela's shoulder from top to bottom. Angela let out a furious roar. His eyes lit up, and he was about to activate Death Stare. Wang Yu smiled slightly. Just like before, he moved behind Angela and used the long knife in his hand to choke Angela's throat. Sheathing, unsheathing. Wang Yu's movements were smooth. -1888. Another critical hit appeared above Angela's head. F***CK. What kind of weapon is this? Blood-red war flag saw the sword in Wang Yu's hand split and closed, and its thoughts were in a mess. It thought, Rebirth has an enhanced version of the Swiss Army knife? This sword was the dark gold trash that Wang Yu had exchanged today. The universe knife, the Qianquan blade, belonged to the Tang Dao. Although its length was about the same as a two-handed sword, the way to use it was much worse than a two-handed sword. The main attack techniques of a two-handed sword were nothing more than horizontal slashes and vertical slashes. Even a kung fu master like Wang Yu could only perform a few simple movements with a heavy two-handed sword. However, Wang Yu's grasp of timing and rhythm was more accurate than that of an ordinary person. The Qianquan saber, on the other hand, was relatively light. It could be used to hack vertically with one hand and stab with both hands. Compared with ordinary two-handed swords, it was much more flexible and skillful. At this time, there was no obstacle in the stone forest when he used the two movements of stabbing and hacking. Moreover, the universe saber also had a sheathed form. In this form, Wang Yu could use the draw technique. The draw technique was to hide the saber in the scabbard, and the moment it was drawn, it would cause instant damage to the enemy. Therefore, the movements were very subtle, and there was no need to worry about being stuck in this terrain. When the universe saber was sheathed, it would deal critical damage. The source of damage from the draw technique was the friction and explosive force between the saber and the scabbard. In layman's terms, the faster and more accurately Wang Yu drew the saber, the higher the critical hit rate. In other words, in Wang Yu's hands, critical hits became a controllable effect. The universe saber's attack was not high, but the damage from a critical hit was far higher than the normal damage of other weapons. As a result, this universe saber was much easier to use than the two-handed sword just now. After the draw technique hit Angela for the second time, she simply waved her hand and threw a poisonous mist on her head. Wang Yu put away his weapon, jumped, and stepped on a stone pillar to hide in midair. When the effect of the poisonous mist disappeared, Wang Yu descended from the sky, and the universe saber in his hand circled around Angela's neck again. Just now, Wang Yu was focused on dodging Angela's attacks, and did not notice that the stone pillars could be climbed. Angela was to blame for being pretentious and insisting on attacking from above. This immediately reminded Wang Yu that compared to jumping up and down, grandmasters of combat were obviously better at it than mages. Wang Yu's figure shuttled through the forest of stone pillars, jumping up and down. The saber in his hand changed forms back and forth, either blocking, attacking, or using it as a displacement tool. His movements were smooth and his figure was elegant. He waited for the right moment to strike, and each strike was critical. If I say steel slash, stepping forward, or Hasidu, will I be killed by the protagonist? Angela could not even touch the corner of Wang Yu's clothes. Angela was also a pitiful woman. She had wanted to use the stone pillars to restrict Wang Yu's movements, but who knew that this guy was even more at home than she was? It was as if she had shot herself in the tail. Damn, so cool. Amateurs watched the show. The two amateurs not far away did not understand the intricacy of Wang Yu's move. At that moment there was only one word in their eyes: Cool. If Wang Yu heard this, he would feel depressed and sigh at the inadequacy of his skills. With Wang Yu following her like a shadow, Angela completely collapsed. She did not last long and simply gave up resisting. In the end, she was hacked to death by Wang Yu. System notification. You have completed the dungeon quest, Cursed Snake. Reward: 40% completion rate. After Angela died, all the stone pillars disappeared. Wuji and Blood Red War Flag walked over in a stupefied manner. Seeing the wound on Angela's neck, Wuji sighed. You're too cruel. She's a female boss after all. Can't you stab somewhere else if you slash at her neck? As he spoke, Wuji glanced at Angela's tail and sighed. What a pity. She's so pretty for nothing. What's a pity? Wang Yu was puzzled. There's nowhere to stab. Wuji spread his hands. F***CK. Blood Red War Flag broke out in a cold sweat. That's too wretched. Wang Yu was still puzzled. Why is there nowhere to stab? Her neck is good. Neck, I didn't expect you to be such a bull. Hey, who's going to loot the equipment? Blood Red War Flag hurriedly interrupted their conversation. Wuji glared at Blood Red War Flag and said, Don't talk about us. Try touching her, Blood Red War Flag. For the token, endure. I'll loot it. Wang Yu volunteered. Wang Yu actually quite liked the excitement of looting equipment. Ever since she witnessed the luck of Pride and Blood Red War Flag, Wang Yu realized that her hands, which harmed others without benefiting herself, were not evil at all. What if I say no? Wuji asked. Wang Yu placed the universe saber in front of Wuji and asked, Do you think my saber looks cool? Wuji nodded. You can loot it. That's a good brother. Wang Yu chuckled and put the universe saber in his pocket. He started searching Angela's body with both hands. Wang Yu's luck seemed to be quite good today. He managed to loot the token that Blood Red War Flag had been dreaming of. Mine. Blood Red War Flag saw the token and almost jumped up in excitement. Wang Yu tossed the token to Blood Red War Flag. Blood Red War Flag hugged the token and kissed it. Wang Yu and Wuji were disgusted. This damn token was dug out from a corpse, and it was a snake. Who knew if it was poisonous? However, they were excited for less than 3 seconds. When Blood Red War Flag saw the description on the token, their faces sank. Garrison token, rare item. This item can be used to exchange for the right to guard the garrison Viper Valley. Chapter 237. Venomous Snake Valley was the map outside of Hurricane Cave. The monsters in this leveling area were all venomous snake. Due to the lack of high-level antidotes on the market, the monsters here were quite difficult to deal with. If they really wanted to defend it successfully, they had to have an advantage in numbers. However, when defending the encampment, the number of monsters in the valley was based on the number of defending players. Moreover, each guild could at most find 2 guilds as reinforcements. In other words, all the guilds under Blood Alliance added up to 1,500 people. So, if Blood Alliance defended Venomous Snake Valley, they wouldn't have an advantage in numbers. In this way, Blood Red War Flag's token seemed a bit useless. I told you long ago that the encampment token has a region. Wuji gloated. Sigh. Blood Red War Flag had just walked around heaven and hell. He was very depressed. Why am I so unlucky? Wuji said. If you are unlucky, that's your problem. You can't give us less money, do you understand? Blood Red War Flag said with a dark face. I won't give you less, that's good. Wuji continued. Seeing that you are so honest, I can teach you a way to minimize your losses. What way? Blood Red War Flag's eyes lit up and he asked eagerly. Put this token on the consignment shop. After selling it, buy another one. Blood Red War Flag heard this and said, Since it's a trade, I'll keep it. When the other guilds want to defend the encampment, I'll exchange it with them. Oh. Wuji's expression stiffened. He then asked, If it was you, would you choose to defend Venomous Snake Valley? Of course not. Blood Red War Flag said matter-of-factly, If I wanted to defend this place, I wouldn't exchange the token. Wuji laughed coldly. Then that's it. You're such an idiot and you won't choose to build an encampment here. Are there other idiots like you? Blood-red war flag's face darkened. While the two of them were talking, Wang Yu had already looted the second item. The second item was a small green box. Its attributes were also very simple. Angela's Curse, special item, only usable by the player who killed Angela. This thing is quite interesting, Wuji said, feeling a little strange. After playing the game for so many years, this was the first time Wuji had seen an item that was specific to a player. Mine. Haha. Wang Yu laughed proudly and then opened the small box. Puff! As soon as the box was opened, a ball of green liquid jumped out of the box and rushed towards Wang Yu's face without any hesitation. F***CK. Wang Yu was shocked. He took out his Qiankuan knife and waved it repeatedly, scattering the liquid on the ground. After the green liquid landed on the ground, it turned into a cloud of smoke and corroded the ground, forming a pit about 10 centimeters deep. F***CK. This guy is too sinister. He's dead and he's still throwing acid. Wang Yu had a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had dodged quickly. Otherwise, he would have definitely been poisoned to death. Wuji said after the fact, Angela's curse is obviously for revenge. Speaking of which, why do you keep looting all these weird things? How would I know? Wang Yu muttered gloomily and continued looting the corpse. At the same time, he secretly despised Angela. At the very least, he was a gold boss. The first time, he dropped a token, which almost caused blood-red war flag to be depressed to death. The second time, he dropped that thing, which almost caused Wang Yu to die. If the third time, he still dropped an unknown object, Wang Yu and the other two would probably be dead. Fortunately, Angela did not ruin her reputation as a gold boss. The third item was a piece of equipment. Venomous Fang, dagger. Gold, attack. 62-72 mana. 27-35 plus 17 agility plus 9 strength poison. Passive skill. 20% chance of causing the target to enter a weakened state. After being poisoned, the target's speed and attack will be reduced by 30%. Snake Fang, passive skill. Normal attack. 20% chance of causing a slashing effect. 20% damage per second. Fatal blow, active skill. Burns own HP to deal a fatal blow to the target. Deals damage equal to 120% of the user's HP burned. Cooldown, 1800 seconds. Slow bleed, fatal blow. Wang Yu was very satisfied with this dagger. However, because Wang Yu and Blood-Red War Flag had already taken other items, the dagger was taken by Wuji. After the three of them left the dungeon, Wang Yu was very unhappy. I was tricked just now. How can this be considered as a share of the benefits? Who cares? You took Angela's curse. Moreover, this dagger is not a Grandmaster of Combat weapon. Why do you want it? Wang Yu said, if I had this dagger just now, I would have killed Angela. Don't you have a combination sword? As he said this, Wuji glanced at the heaven and earth sword in Wang Yu's hand and exclaimed, why did your sword change shape? Changed shape? When Wang Yu heard this, he quickly looked down and saw that the heaven and earth sword in his hand, which was originally brand new, was now rusted. It looked like it would break at the slightest touch. The attributes of the item had also changed. Cursed Heaven and Earth Sword Attack. 1-1 Magic. 1-1 Unusable. Seeing the attributes of the Heaven and Earth Sword, Wang Yu wanted to cry. F***CK, how did it become like this? This Heaven and Earth Sword was the most suitable weapon that Wang Yu had obtained since he entered the game. He had only used it once and it had become like this. How could Wang Yu accept this? Wuji comforted him. I guess it's because you used this sword to block Angela's curse. That's why this sword became like this. This is considered a treasure protecting its owner. My condolences. Condolences, Wang Yu said with distress. If I knew that that thing would destroy equipment, I might as well die once. In the game, one could respawn infinitely after dying, and equipment was the best. Wuji sighed when he heard this. I'm very pleased that you can say that. At least you're like a normal player. But I think this sword is just rusted. It's not completely destroyed. It should still be usable after some repairs. Where can I repair it? A blacksmith shop. This is common sense, Wuji said. Okay. I'll go back to the city and ask later. Wang Yu nodded. The instant's dungeon had been cleared and the token was obtained. Blood Red War Flag was indeed in a bad mood. However, no matter how bad his mood was, he still had to pay. When he took the money bag from Blood Red War Flag, Wang Yu could not help but soften when he saw Blood Red War Flag's dejected look. If you have any difficulties, we can help you. After all, we're so familiar with each other. Don't look at how Wang Yu made Blood Red War Flag feel bad. In fact, Wang Yu's impression of Blood Red War Flag was not too bad. Really? Blood Red War Flag was overjoyed. Of course it's true. Wuji took over the conversation and said lightly, as long as the commission is enough, Blood Red War Flag. Chapter 238. After returning to Yu Huiqing, Wang Yu separated from Wuji and went to the blacksmith shop without stopping. At this moment, Wang Yu was anxious to know if his universe saber could still be saved. The blacksmith shop was still very lively. As players became stronger, it became easier to get equipment blueprint. Therefore, there seemed to be more players practicing forging than before. After all, blueprints were very valuable. No one was willing to give such a valuable thing to others to forge. If they forged it themselves, even if they couldn't forge something good, they wouldn't blame anyone. Wang Yu squeezed through the crowd and came to the blacksmith. He handed over the universe saber and said, "Master, can my saber still be repaired? What do you think this is?" The blacksmith turned his head and asked Wang Yu. "A saber," Wang Yu said strangely. "Don't NPCs know what a saber is in Western fantasy games?" The blacksmith shook his head and said, "You can only say that it's a piece of scrap iron." Wang Yu sweated and asked, "Can it still be repaired?" The blacksmith did not answer the question and said, "This scrap iron looks good. If you reforge it, I can make a dagger for you. F***CKU. No matter how good Wang Yu's self-cultivation was, he couldn't help but curse after being repeatedly despised by the NPC. After glaring at the blacksmith fiercely, Wang Yu took back the universe saber from the blacksmith's hand. Just as Wang Yu was about to go out, a voice suddenly stopped Wang Yu. "Young man, your saber looks familiar." When Wang Yu heard the voice, he immediately stopped. Then, he turned back to the blacksmith shop and walked to the side of the sloppy dwarf in the corner. Wasn't it familiar? In the item introduction of this saber, this sloppy dwarf was the maker of the universe saber. "Teacher Simba, can you repair this saber?" Wang Yu handed the saber to the dwarf. Simba scolded, "Child, stop messing around. This saber is already like this, how can it be repaired?" Wang Yu curled his lips in disappointment. "So you can't do anything either," Simba said. "I can't say that I'm powerless, because this saber is a failed product. Even if I can repair it, I won't repair it." As the craftsman god, Simba had forged countless divine weapons in his life, but this universe saber was the only failed product that he had painstakingly forged. The failed product and the god of crafts were like a stain. At this moment, it was clearly impossible for Simba to fix this stain. Wang Yu also understood this, so he naturally knew that he couldn't force others to do something they didn't want to do, so Wang Yu asked, "Then can you forge a new one? I'll provide whatever materials you need. We don't lack forging fees." In fact, Wang Yu wasn't very picky about weapons. If it was any other weapon, even if it couldn't be used, Wang Yu could still use it if it was the same model. However, Wang Yu liked this universe saber too much because it was a traditional Chinese weapon. Wang Yu had used this kind of thing as a toy since he was a child, so he felt a connection with it in his hand. Moreover, it was harder to get such a weapon in Western fantasy. If this saber was broken, who knew how long it would take to find a similar model? Simba laughed and said, "Hee hee, this weapon's specifications are very special. Not only is the forging technique very high, but the material requirements are also extremely harsh. Back then, I searched the continent and found a set of materials. Don't waste your effort." Then what should I do? Wang Yu continued to ask. Wang Yu didn't believe that Simba didn't have a way. If he really didn't have a way, this old dwarf wouldn't stop Wang Yu. For an NPC to talk to players for no reason, there must be a quest. "Hee hee," Simba laughed and said, "I've been here every day because I like you. How about this, if you don't lack money, I have a quest for you. Are you interested?" System notification. You have activated the A-rank quest, Qualified Blacksmith. Do you accept? Notification. This is a special quest. You need to pay 300 gold to accept. F***CK. Seeing the quest notification, Wang Yu nearly jumped up. 300 gold. Today, Wang Yu had put in so much effort to help Blood Alliance clear the dungeon, but he had only earned 250 gold. Now, accepting a quest would cost him 300 gold. In this dungeon, he had lost 50 gold. What kind of logic was this? The system's methods of making money were just too low class. Simba saw Wang Yu's expression and hurriedly waved his hands and said, "Young man, don't look like that. This quest isn't for someone of your level. You just activated it ahead of time. Let me tell you, this blade itself is a quest item. After completing this quest, not only will you regain this blade, you will also receive additional rewards." Simba didn't lie to Wang Yu. This Heaven and Earth blade was the key to a special chain of quests. If a normal player saw the trash stats of this dark gold equipment, they would definitely follow the item description and find Simba. Then, they would spend money to accept the quest and complete the chain of quests. Only Wang Yu saw this blade and actually treated it as a weapon. If it wasn't for Angela spitting acid on it, Wang Yu probably wouldn't have known that the Heaven and Earth blade had such a use. Additional rewards? Wang Yu was a little tempted. Young people were just so easy to lie to. Not only could he repair the Heaven and Earth blade, he could also receive other rewards. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, why not? "That's right, I guarantee that it will be worth it," Simba said with a smile. "Alright, I'll accept it." Wang Yu gritted his teeth, took out his money pouch, and took out 300 gold coins to hand over to Simba. Simba smiled and accepted the money. Then, Wang Yu received a system notification. System notification. You have accepted the A-rank quest, Qualified Blacksmith. Find smelting stone 0 to 1. Find Simba's pen ruler 0 to 1. Quest can be shared. Maximum party size is 0/3. Wang Yu knew about the smelting stone. Last time in the Hell Instance dungeon, Wang Yu obtained a dark gold treasure chest that contained a smelting stone. At that time, Wang Yu didn't know what it was used for, so he just threw it in the bank. But Simba's pen ruler didn't look like it was used to forge equipment. "What's a pen ruler?" Wang Yu asked curiously. "It's a pen and ruler," Simba said. F***CK. Wang Yu coughed up blood. So a pen and ruler were 2 different items. To think that he thought they were the same strange item. "Can't I go to the grocery store and buy you a set?" Simba shook his head and said, "It's not the same. The pen ruler was given to me by my teacher. With them, I can be considered a true god of crafts. Then do you know where the pen ruler is?" Wang Yu asked again. "I don't know." Just as Wang Yu was about to get angry, Simba immediately said, "The last time I used them was in Iron Rock Castle. P.S. Today, I saw many people from Genesis reading this book. I was very happy. Hello everyone, thank you for your support." Chapter 239. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Iron Rock Castle. Wang Yu had heard Mingdu talk about it before. The Iron Rock Castle was located in Thunderstorm City. Thunderstorm City was located at the border between the Light Faction and the Dark Faction. It could be said to be the gateway between the two camps. The Iron Rock Castle was located between the two camps, becoming an important fortress that separated the two. In the background story of Rebirth, the Iron Rock Castle was a legendary fortress. It was also the place where the dwarfs, gnomes, and goblins originated. Because of the location of these three races, the forging techniques and technology of the Iron Rock Castle had always been at the top of the Rebirth continent. The indestructible heavy armor of the dwarfs and the unstoppable power of the mountains made the Iron Rock Castle indestructible. The technology of the dwarfs could create war machines like the magic airship. The goblins even combined technology with traditional forging techniques, creating magical weapons that used magic crystals as their energy source. The power of these weapons was comparable to the destructive forbidden spells. In history, the two invasions of the Dark Army had failed because of the existence of the Iron Rock Castle. However, after the retreat of the Dark Army for the second time, something happened to the Iron Rock Castle. This indestructible fortress became the most poignant joke in the history of Rebirth. No matter how strong a castle was, it was still afraid of internal collapse. Because of the difference in the talents of the races, there was always a gap between the three races. It was also because of this that a chaotic war broke out between the three races. In the end, the gnomes scattered, the goblins went extinct, and the dwarfs won a Pyrrhic victory. Love Go Little Say, Netku the Iron Rock Castle also became a wasteland. After the invasion of the Dark Army, the human army of the Light Faction took over the Iron Rock Castle and stationed there again. The Iron Rock Castle thus became the territory of Thunderstorm City. After receiving the mission, Wang Yu opened the guild channel and asked, "Ming, are you still in Thunderstorm City?" Mingdu, after a long while, Mingdu replied, "Yes. Yes." Mingdu only said one word, which made Wang Yu very surprised. At this moment, Chun Xiang suddenly said, "Old Li, are you being hunted again?" "Yes." Mingdu replied concisely. "Tell me, what's going on?" Chun Xiang sounded as if he was watching a show. "Get lost." Mingdu cursed and didn't reply. "Anyo, are you also going to Thunderstorm City?" Chun Xiang asked Wang Yu. "Yup, yeah." "Tell me, what are you going to do?" Chun Xiang asked again. Wang Yu asked, "Brother Chun, are you very free?" "I'm quite free," Chun Xiang said. "I'm currently on the airship heading to Thunderstorm City." Wang Yu was speechless for a moment and thought to himself, "What's wrong with Thunderstorm City? There are actually so many missions in Thunderstorm City." F***CK, Spring Dog, Old Cow, what are you doing here? Don't tell me our mission is to crash into each other? At this time, Mingdu appeared again. Perhaps because he was already out of danger, he became more talkative. Chun Xiang said, "I'm going to Iron Rock Castle to find the cultivation notes of a cultivator." Wang Yu said, "I'm going to Iron Rock Castle to find Simba's brush ruler." Mingdu roared, F***CK your grandpa. My mission is also at Iron Rock Castle, to find Ryan's cultivation notes. Wang Yu scratched his head and said, "From the missions, these three missions shouldn't be related at all. Seems like it's not a collision of missions. With the system's nature, I think it's very mysterious." Chun Xiang analyzed, "The notes and the brush ruler both have the word pen, so it's very likely that there's a connection between them. The notes and the notes are actually the same thing, so they'll probably crash into each other. You're being too far-fetched." Wang Yu was speechless. The notes and the notes are the same thing, so it's understandable if they crash into each other, but the notes and the brush ruler only have the word pen in them, so how can they be related? Chun Xiang said, "It's not that I'm being far-fetched, it's just that this system is too unreliable." When Chun Xiang said this, Wang Yu's heart skipped a beat. Even great virtue could be set as a weight, so it was clear that this game designer was uncultured. Mingdu interrupted, "Forget it, Iron Rock Castle is too hard to get anyway, this mission can't be completed by one person. You guys come over first, and we'll talk after we get the item. If it's what we need, that's the best, but if it really crashes into each other, we'll play rock paper scissors to decide the winner." "Why rock paper scissors?" Wang Yu was puzzled. "Then how about rolling? Can't we fight one-on-one?" Wang Yu said. Chun Xiang and Mingdu laughed. Hee, we're all brothers, it'll hurt our relationship if we fight." Wang Yu said, "It's okay, we're all on the same side, even if we fight to the death, we're still friends, I don't mind." F***CKU. Chun Xiang and Mingdu were furious. If they fought with this brat, would they have any chance of winning? After agreeing on a meeting place with Mingdu, Wang Yu left the smithy and boarded the airship to Thunderstorm City. 50 minutes later, Wang Yu arrived at Thunderstorm City. Thunderstorm City was a very grand city, built along the snow-covered Sagram mountain range. The reason why it was called Thunderstorm City was because the city's terrain was very high. When thunderclouds gathered in the sky, Thunderstorm City seemed to be in the center of lightning. One of the 7 heroes, Great Mage Renault, was born in Thunderstorm City. The name of the 7 heroes attracted many mage players, so this city was also called Mage City. Thunderstorm City was a mountain city, so the buildings in the city were quite compact. Unlike Yu Huicheng's roads, there were many small alleys, giving Wang Yu a headache. Fortunately, this was in the game. According to the coordinates that Mingdu shared, Wang Yu finally found the tavern that Mingdu mentioned. After entering the tavern, Mingdu and Chun Xiang were there toasting each other. Nobody knew what the two of them were talking about, but the smiles on their faces were extremely wretched and despicable. It complemented the way the two of them acted. "Hey, brother Chun. Oldly." Seeing the two of them, Wang Yu greeted them at the door. The two of them hurriedly looked up and waved their hands when they saw Wang Yu. "Anyo, come sit." Just as Wang Yu sat down, a mage and a grandmaster of combat at the next table suddenly walked over. The mage walked to the table of the 3 of them. He first looked at Chun Xiang and Mingdu, then his eyes fell on the badges on their chests. "Chuanjin?" the mage asked calmly, his face expressionless. "Not bad. Do you want an autograph?" Mingdu asked with a smile. "The unparalleled Li Zichang?" The mage squinted at Mingdu. At this moment, Wang Yu clearly saw that Mingdu and Chun Xiang's hands, which were holding the wine, shook. "Who are you?" Chun Xiang stared at the mage and asked. "Li Zichang, that was Mingdu's ID when Chuanjin was first established. This ID was from a long time ago. Other than those who were close to Chuanjin, no one would remember these old IDs, let alone match such an old ID with the current members of Chuanjin. 90% of those who were close to Chuanjin were enemies." Chapter 240. A Night of Listening to the Spring Rain? When Spring and Ming heard this name, a relieved expression appeared on their faces. No wonder he was able to recognize the two of them. It turned out to be this fellow. "You guys know each other?" Wang Yu asked quietly. "That's right. That bastard used to have a decent guild, but we destroyed it," Mingdu said calmly, as if he were talking about something insignificant. Wang Yu nodded. "That's the style of you guys. This guy is quite pitiful." Wang Yu looked at the fish in the water sympathetically. "He's pitiful? Mingdu laughed coldly. Wang Yu was a pure gamer. Naturally, she had never heard of the nickname, A Night of Listening to Spring Rain. Actually, anyone who had played games for a few years would have some understanding of this person. This was because Little Lou Listens to the Spring Rain last night was once the #1 player in the online gaming circle. The guild he created was called Three Fiends Village, which had nearly 100,000 players. He created the legend of being the #1 player in the local server and even in the global gaming circle. It should be known that online games in that era were still keyboard and mouse games. The system's server load was very average. Even the most popular regional server only had a few 100,000 players online at the same time. Just the 3 Evil Manor alone had 100,000 players. What kind of feeling was that, let alone the past, even if the current Rebirth server was in the same world, the largest guild, unhindered, would only have 30 to 50,000 members. It was still a far cry from the 3 Fiends Manor of the past. At that time, the name, A Night of Listening to Spring Rain, was unparalleled in the gaming circle. The 3 Evils Manor had also ranked first in the World Gaming Weekly rankings several times. This huge empire dominated the local server for 5 years and became a legend in the gaming circle. Although 3 Evils Village was later destroyed due to internal strife and external enemies, A Night of Listening to the Spring Rain was unsurpassed in the hearts of the local players. Chun Xiang looked at the fish in the water and laughed. Hee, I was wondering who it was. So it's you, you trash. Tell me, where have you been hiding all these years? In the eyes of others, A Night of Listening to Spring Rain was the #1 player in the gaming circle, but in the eyes of Chuanjin, he was at most a stray dog. The fish in the water said, Humph. I've always been in the game, but unlike you guys, I keep a low profile. Don't make it sound like I'm afraid of you guys. If you guys weren't afraid of revenge, you wouldn't have changed your name. Child, it's been so many years, and you still can't get rid of your self-righteousness. The reason why we changed our names is because old Ling left, and we don't want to talk about the past anymore. At this point, Chun Xiang sneered and said, But seeing you today, this old man's hands are itching again. Speaking of which, have you created another guild? Even though the 3 Fiend Village had fallen, Xiao Lu's One Night Listens to Spring Rain's appeal was still there. As long as he wanted to create a guild and make a comeback, there would definitely be many ignorant players who would respond. The United Heart Alliance. This is my new guild. Don't worry, I won't let trash like you take advantage of me this time. Also, wash your neck and wait. One day, I will personally wipe your Chuanjin sect off the face of the gaming circle. As he spoke, a hint of viciousness appeared in Underwater Fish's eyes. Oh, this son of AB*TCH is acting up again. Didn't he say the same thing back then? Ha. Hearing the fish in the water's words, Mingdu Si Wuji laughed in fear. At the same time, he mocked, the Unity Alliance, how ironic. Scum like you, who would be of the Unity Alliance? Humph. Watch your words. Seeing Mingdu's insolence, the Grandmaster of Combat, who had been standing beside the fish in the water, suddenly reprimanded him. With Mingdu's temper, how could he tolerate others speaking to him like that? Just as the Grandmaster of Combat finished speaking, Mingdu raised his hand slightly, and a bolt of lightning descended from the sky. Boom! After the lightning passed, the Grandmaster of Combat, who should have been struck into white light, stood in the same place and sneered at the two of them, a playful expression on his face. Mingdu and Chun Xiang were slightly startled. Although Mingdu's character was despicable, he was very strong. Even in a group like Chuanjin, where experts were as common as clouds, he was at the forefront. Wherever that lightning magic went, even tanks would be left in critical health. Yet, a Grandmaster of Combat actually didn't die. This was too strange. Could it be that he has magic resistance equipment? Mingdu muttered in a strange manner. Wang Yu indifferently said, No, he just dodged it. Dodged it? Mingdu was even more shocked. Up until now, Wang Yu was the only person that Mingdu had seen that could dodge Mingdu's magic head-on. And this Grandmaster of Combat could also dodge it. Didn't that mean, not bad, this person is an expert? Wang Yu raised his glass and took a sip. At this time, that Grandmaster of Combat leaped over and threw a collapsing fist at Mingdu. Mingdu was startled. He leaned back and flashed to Wang Yu's side. That Grandmaster of Combat was still unwilling to let him go. He rushed over, his left hand forming a claw while his right hand swung a fist. He wanted to grab Mingdu and kill Wang Yu at the same time. Hee hee, dragons rush, tigers collapse. Wang Yu faintly smiled and put down his glass. Just as that Grandmaster of Combat's fist was about to hit his body, Wang Yu's body leaned to the side and his shoulder slammed into that Grandmaster of Combat's chest. The Grandmaster of Combat hurriedly retracted his hand and pressed both of his hands on Wang Yu's shoulders, borrowing the force to fly back. From the moment Wang Yu made his move to the moment the Grandmaster of Combat flew back, only a split second had passed. Wang Yu didn't even stand up. So in the eyes of others, that Grandmaster of Combat looked as if he had accidentally bumped into Wang Yu. That Grandmaster of Combat did a backflip in midair and landed steadily on the ground. Flowing Cloud, are you okay? Underwater Fish walked to the Grandmaster of Combat's side and asked with concern. Underwater Fish's friendly tone made Chun Xiang, who was nearby, feel a chill run down his spine. But at this time, Chun Xiang also understood the background of this Grandmaster of Combat. Nian Luyun, a Grandmaster of Combat expert ranked second on the forum. In the area where Thunderstorm City was located, she was in the limelight. There were even many self-proclaimed, professional and objective, people on the forum who believed that Nian Luyun's strength surpassed Wang Yu, who was ranked first on the Grandmaster of Combat ranking. So in the Grandmaster of Combat section, the question of which of the two experts was stronger was an everlasting topic. Chun Xiang, who liked to go to the forum to stir up trouble, had seen it a few times. Once an expert made a move, it would be obvious whether or not he was strong. The two of them had only fought for one round. Although no one was at a disadvantage, Chun Xiang instinctively felt that Wang Yu was still a level higher. Iron Mountain Lean. Who are you? Nian Luyun pointed at Wang Yu and asked. Underwater Fish was puzzled. What Iron Mountain Lean? It's obviously the Grandmaster of Combat Level 20 Iron Mountain Crusher. Unbeknownst to him, although the skill Wang Yu used just now was Iron Mountain Crusher, the way he released it was a standard move from Bajiquan Iron Mountain Lean. An outsider like Underwater Fish naturally wouldn't understand. Chapter 241. Watching Fish underwater was an amateur when it came to Kung Fu, but there were probably few who were more experienced than him in the game. Watching Fish underwater knew Nian Luyun's strength very well. The two of them had been together since the beginning of the game. Watching Fish underwater had never seen anyone or a boss that Nian Luyun could not defeat. He did not expect someone to be able to fight Nian Luyun to a standstill today. This shocked Watching Fish underwater. Facing Nian Luyun's question, Wang Yu smiled and said, My name is Iron Ox. Iron Ox? Watching Fish underwater was instantly relieved. He cupped his hands at Wang Yu and said politely, So you're the legendary Iron Ox. You live up to your name. Wang Yu smiled faintly and did not reply. Nian Luyun said angrily, Don't play dumb with me. You know that's not what I'm asking. Oh, you're talking about my real identity. Wang Yu said with a smile, It's better if you don't know. Otherwise you'll be scared to tears. Let's not talk about Jianghu in the game. I'll lower myself for a bit. Just call me Uncle Nyo like everyone else. Watching Fish underwater was completely stunned when he heard this. I'll lower myself for a bit. Just call me Uncle Nyo. Damn, he was blatantly raising his seniority. He was too arrogant. Pfft. Seeing Wang Yu's serious posturing, Mingdu laughed on the spot. Old cow, I give you full marks for your posturing. Wang Yu continued to say seriously, I don't know how to postulate. While Wang Yu was still talking nonsense with Mingdu with a straight face, Nian Luyun was so angry that she was about to explode. She pointed at Wang Yu and cursed, Ignorant guy, how dare you speak so arrogantly? Do you really think I won't dare to kill you? As he spoke, Nian Luyun charged forward once more. When Chun Xiang saw this, he took a step back and waved his staff. A black circle appeared under Wang Yu and Mingdu's feet. Just as the thought-flowing cloud was about to reach Wang Yu, A distortion boundary appeared out of nowhere and enveloped Wang Yu and Mingdu. Seeing this, Nian Luyun hurriedly used Eagle Stamp in midair and forcefully landed. At this time, Chun Xiang's demons had already been summoned and surrounded Nian Luyun. Using Ferocious Tiger Slash, Flowing Cloud grabbed one of the demon's heads and flung it forward, breaking through the encirclement. After leaping out of the encirclement a few times, a look of shock appeared on Flowing Cloud's face. Clearly, this was the first time Flowing Cloud had suffered a loss before another player. "Are you sure you want to stir up trouble here today?" After Chun Xiang forced Nian Luyun back, he stared at the fish in the water and asked. With Wang Yu around, Chun Xiang was naturally not afraid of anything. However, this time, the three of them came to Thunderstorm City mainly to complete a quest. They were unfamiliar with this place, and they currently did not understand the strength of the fish in the water. There was no need to waste time on this kind of person. It was true that the fish in the water was an expert, but he understood the methods of these guys from Chuanjin. These guys were all experts who had killed their way through. Even the fish in the water could not guarantee that he could defeat any one of them. The reason why the fish in the water dared to stir up trouble was entirely because of Nian Luyun. However, Chuanjin also had an expert who was not inferior at all. The fish in the water were not stupid. In a situation of 3 against 2, how could they dare to fight head-on? Flowing Cloud, let's go. If you want to take care of them, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. The fish in the water tugged on Nian Luyun's arm. Humph! Nian Luyun coldly snorted and said, "Iron Ox, right? I'll remember you. Don't let me see you again in the future." After saying that, Nian Luyun followed the fish in the water out of the tavern. "All right, old cow, your words just now. I'll condescend to let you call me Uncle Nyo, are really King awesome. Ha! Yeah, I couldn't tell. Ah, Nyo, your mouth is also quite sharp, ha. After the fish in the water left, Mingdu and Chun Xiang laughed out loud. This was the first time they had seen Wang Yu hurt someone. Wang Yu waited for the two to laugh enough before saying lightly, "I'm not joking. He's so young. Calling me uncle is definitely condescending. At least I'm on the same level as his grandfather." Hearing what Wang Yu said, Mingdu and Chun Xiang also stopped laughing and asked, "Do you know him in real life?" "I don't know him," Wang Yu said, "but I can guess his identity from his kung fu. The move, Dragon Rush Tiger Rush, that Nian Luyun used just now was a move in Bajiquan. Bajiquan was the signature kung fu of the Li family. Dragon Rush Tiger Rush was a move that could only be learned by inner disciples, so Wang Yu recognized Nian Luyun's identity at a glance. The martial arts world had always been about the strong. In the kung fu circle, Wang Yu's seniority was frighteningly high. Even among the 4 big families, there were only a few people who were on the same level as Wang Yu. The two's eyes were dull, as if they couldn't understand at all. "Speaking of which, that kid is very powerful. Do you have the confidence to beat that kid?" Compared to Wang Yu's seniority, Mingdu and Chun Xiang were more curious about who was better between Wang Yu and Nian Luyun. This was also a hot topic on the forum. "In real life or in the game?" asked Wang Yu. "Tell me both," Wang Yu said. "In real life, his grandfather can probably take 50 moves from me. As for in the game, I haven't fought against him. I think I'm better. F***ck, does your family know you're bragging?" Mingdu and Chun Xiang looked at Wang Yu in disdain. Wang Yu said disdainfully, "Do I still need to brag about my strength? You can ask Yang Na. As for that Nian Luyun, I know him through and through with just one move. He probably doesn't even know my surname." "Who's Yang Na?" "Qingxue," Wang Yu hurriedly said. He accidentally said Yang Na's real name. "So her name is Yang Na." Mingdu's eyes narrowed. No one knew what he was up to. Wang Yu glared at Mingdu and said, "Cut the crap. What's with the Iron Rock Fort mission?" "Damn it, don't even mention it. At the mention of Iron Rock Fort, Mingdu's expression quickly turned gloomy. Tell me, were you tortured? Chun Xiang seized the opportunity to ask. You'll know how bad this mission is when you get there. It's a two-way mission, Mingdu said to Wang Yu. A two-way mission? Are there players living in Iron Rock Fort? Chun Xiang asked. That's not all. It's the base of Thunderstorm City's biggest guild, Heavenly Wrath Berserk. Guild base? Chun Xiang was stunned when he heard Mingdu's words. If Ironrock Castle were inhabited, it wouldn't be difficult to sneak in and retrieve an item. However, if it were a guild residence, it would be a different story. A guild base was a private safe zone. According to the system's settings, unless a guild war was started and the gate of Heavenly Wrath Berserk was broken, it would be impossible to enter. In the story of Rebirth, the Iron Rock Fortress was the strongest fortress. Even though the three major races had declined due to the Civil War, the hardware and facilities of the Iron Rock Fortress were still there. Now that there were players guarding it, it was impossible to break through. Chapter 242. Heavenly Wrath Berserk was the same as Royal City Route. They were both newly risen guilds. Unlike Royal City Route, which was a professional guild that was built with money, Heavenly Wrath Berserk Heavenly Wrath was built with real strength. Thunderstorm City, as one of the 7 heroes living in seclusion, was not a small city. The population of this main city was nearly 3 times that of Yuhuiqing. To be able to stand out among so many players, become the largest guild, and even get a stronghold like Iron Rock Fort as their guild base, Berserk Sky Wrath definitely had real skills. Now, Berserk Sky Wrath had 2 guilds, nearly 1,000 people, at least 40 experts above level 20, and more than 80% of the experts on the second server ranking were in Berserk Sky Wrath. It was normal for experts to gather together. After all, skilled experts would choose to join a big guild to prove themselves. The more experts a guild had, the easier it was to recruit experts. That was why the big guilds would focus on their development when the game's servers opened. The number and quality of Berserk Sky Wrath players were very high, and they had a stronghold as their base. Even if Wang Yu and the other 2 could enter Iron Rock Fort under the mission state, the enemy was so strong that this mission was almost impossible to complete. I think we should think of a way. After listening to Mingdu's introduction, Wang Yu said with a serious expression. Compared to the thousands of people from Elysium, Berserk Sky Wrath only had 1,000 people, which was indeed not a lot. However, the difference in difficulty between guarding a stronghold and chasing a whole city was not small. When Yuhuiqing was there, Chuanzhen's people had the home advantage. They could run and fight at the same time. If they could not win, they could find a safe zone to hide. They were in a completely active state, dragging thousands of people to fight. As long as they were shameless enough, they could still do it. But now, Chuanzhen's 3 people had become the attacking side, facing 1,000 people head-on. Wang Yu was not a blind and arrogant guy. Even if he was confident in his skills, Wang Yu would not do such a thing. There is a way. Mingdu muttered. Damn, there are only 3 of us. No matter what we think of, we can't make up for the difference in numbers. Numbers? Chun Xiang rubbed his chin and thought for a while. How about we find people to attack Berserk Sky Wrath? Looking for someone? Do you have a lot of friends? Mingdu asked. These fellows from Chuanzhen had always been so despicable that they had no friends. Not to mention finding someone who was strong enough to contend against the Berserk Heavenly Punishment, they didn't even have more than 100 friends in their friend list. Not many, but are there no other guilds in Thunderstorm City? Chun Xiang asked with a smile. Trying to sow discord again? Wang Yu instantly understood the meaning behind Chun Xiang's words. These guys from Chuanzhen were really taught by the same master. They always used the same trick, and they didn't change it at all. Sure enough, this trick was the best. Wang Yu couldn't help but admire the high success rate of this one move. It wasn't that the players were stupid, But the game was a world where power reigned supreme, and the impact of war wasn't that great. Moreover, life wasn't worth much, so when one side made a move, the other side would definitely draw their swords. Either way, no one wanted to admit defeat. In this way, some people with ulterior motives took advantage of this loophole. What are you saying? This is called sowing discord. Chun Xiang was dissatisfied with Wang Yu's choice of words. Then what about the time in Gokura Kujodo? That's called grafting, but it revealed a flaw, it didn't work, okay. Wang Yu was helpless. He had nothing to say to these cultured hooligans. It seemed like Wuji had once said that there were many ways to sow discord. For example, using yen to sow discord between Longsong Unmatched and Blood Alliance was called two tigers competing for prey. Another example was throwing fireworks to get the system to kill Royal City Route, was called driving the tiger to swallow the wolf. What should we do this time? Wang Yu asked. First, we need to find a relatively large guild. Chun Xiang said. Mingdu said, I'm not familiar with Thunderstorm City. I'll go take a look at the forums later. Thunderstorm City is a relatively large guild. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Chun Xiang smiled. I think watching Fish Underwater's Heart Alliance is a good choice. That bastard is a stray dog. The old players of Three Spirits Village have already been split up by them. Now watching Fish Underwater is living with his tail between his legs. How good can he be? Mingdu was full of disdain towards watching Fish Underwater. Don't say that, Chun Xiang explained. Although that trash watching Fish Underwater has become a dog, he's still good at winning people's hearts. The number of people in Heart Alliance is definitely no less than Berserk Sky Law. Mingdu curled his lips. So what if they have more people? Do you think they care about them? You can watch the show if you provoke two tigers to bite each other. If you provoke a dog and a tiger to bite each other, don't get yourself into trouble again. Hee hee. Chun Xiang smiled and then said, Think about it, if watching Fish Underwater has an expert like Nian Luyun, would he be convinced by Berserk Sky Law? At the same time, wouldn't Berserk Sky Law be afraid of the second server's top expert in Heart Alliance? This Chun Xiang's words enlightened Wang Yu and Mingdu. In the game, experts were equivalent to weapons in the real world. The top expert was equivalent to a nuclear weapon. No matter how many powerful weapons the strongest country had, as long as the strongest weapon was not in their hands, the country would not feel safe. And the country that possessed the strongest weapons would also be restless and uneasy. Therefore, the two countries usually did not have any conflicts and would be on guard against each other. And then? How should we sow discord? Oh no, we should sow discord. Wang Yu asked. Chun Xiang asked Mingdu. We already know that the strongest expert in Heart Alliance is Nian Luyun. Who is Berserk Sky Law's top expert? It's called Heart of Berserk Lightning. It's a lightning spell, Mingdu replied. If that's the case, then it's easy. We can do this. Chun Xiang looked around, then dipped his finger in wine and drew on the table while giving instructions to the two quietly. Will they fall for it this way? Wang Yu asked doubtfully after listening to Chun Xiang's plan. As long as we follow my plan, they won't fall for it, Chun Xiang said confidently. There are so many grandmasters of combat and magicians. Why would they think that we're Nian Luyun and Heart of Berserk Lightning? Wang Yu was still worried about Chun Xiang's plan. He did not believe that the players were that stupid. Chun Xiang smiled faintly and said, There are a lot of grandmasters of combat and mages, but in this place, there are only two strong grandmasters of combat and thunder mages who can instantly kill their enemies. They won't mistake them. Then how do we lure them into a chaotic battle? Mingdu asked. When the time comes, lure them into the city and follow my instructions in the channel. Chapter 243. Thunderstorm City was built on the mountain, and the whole city was built like Patala Palace. It occupied the entire mountain from top to bottom, and the streets of the whole city were clearly divided. The city was like this, and the leveling areas here also reflected each other, distributed from top to bottom according to the mountain. The top was the leveling area for level 70, and the bottom was the leveling area for level 10. Currently, players were between level 15 and 20, and most of them were leveling in the leveling area at the foot of the mountain. Due to the main city culture of Thunderstorm City, most of the monsters here were slow-moving monsters. These monsters were active around Thunderstorm City all year round. Although they didn't know long-range magic, they would all drop a special item called Thunder Core. Thunder Cores could be used to forge magic equipment, so on Thunderstorm City's side, the number of mages occupied 80%, and the remaining 20% were mostly warriors and strength type, and their sub-profession was blacksmith. Mingdu had seen the guild badge of Heart Alliance, and very quickly, Mingdu found a group of Heart Alliance players at the level 20 demonized yak spawn area. 1 warrior, 5 mages, 1 priest, this was the standard equipment in Thunderstorm City. Encountering this group of people, Mingdu didn't take the initiative to attack, but instead focused on throwing lightning monsters. Mingdu's magic attack power was very high, and the demonized yak's HP was 3000, and its magic resistance was also not bad. Ordinary mages would need at least 5 or 6 lightning to kill it, but in Mingdu's hands it only took 2 lightning. F***ck, that mage killed a yak with 2 lightning. Such a tyrannical magic attack made the mages of Heart Alliance raise their eyebrows. Thunderstorm City's specialty was the Thunder Core that strengthened lightning magic. Compared to other cities, Thunderstorm City had a surprisingly large number of lightning mages, accounting for more than half of the population, which was no less than tens of thousands of people. Even so, among these tens of thousands of people, players with super high magic damage were rare, and 1 in 10,000 who could kill a demonized yak with 2 lightning bolts. Everyone naturally thought of a person. Could it be the Heart of Raging Thunder? Everyone guessed. As an iconic mage expert of Thunderstorm City, Heart of Wild Thunder was also used to leveling alone. Therefore, when everyone saw Mingdu's high magic damage, they treated Mingdu as Heart of Wild Thunder. Mingdu's spells were powerful, his mechanical skills were good, and his efficiency in killing monsters was much higher than the entire Unity Alliance party. It didn't take long for Mingdu to kill all the monsters in front of him. Then, as if it was a matter of course, he walked over to the Unity Alliance party. The leveling area was the equivalent of Red Alert. Have you played it before? A gold mine in a novel. Cutting off one's path to wealth was akin to killing one's parent. Everyone from United Alliance was enraged when they saw Bright City's arrogance in snatching leveling areas. Damn it, what does this grandson mean? What's the point? Go and level up. Motherf ** Cur. An expert? That's all you've got? Seeing Mingdu approach them step by step, the United Heart Alliance's members grew increasingly furious. Old devil? What should we do? Seeing Mingdu clear monsters all the way over, everyone turned to look at their leader, I Touch Compassion. I Touch Compassion's previous ID was called I Touch Compassion. However, because his name had been taken, he ended up with a salty and wet name. Although I Touch Compassion's name was very salty and wet, his strength was extraordinary. He was one of the core experts of the Unity Alliance, and he was also the only warrior among the core experts. What should we do? Move aside. I Touch Compassion spat at Mingdu. This grandson isn't easy to deal with. Let's move to the right. Sigh. Hearing this, everyone sighed, but no one objected. After all, Heart of Wild Thunder was famous, and Berserk Heavenly Wrath was the #1 guild in Thunderstorm City. It wasn't wise to cause conflict in the early stages of the game. Thus, the United Heart Alliance stopped and moved dozens of meters to the right. There weren't too many monsters within a few dozen meters, so there was enough for one person to farm. I Touch Compassion thought that he handled this matter very well. who knew that just as everyone stopped and prepared to attack, that wild thunder world would come over again. F***CK. Is this son of AB**TCH looking for trouble? The United Heart Alliance players were furious. They had already taken a step back, but this bastard wanted a foot after giving him an inch. He was too despicable. Old demon, you can tolerate this? Everyone asked. I touch compassion. I tolerated him and bought a watch. Everyone, farm monsters here and ignore him. I don't believe that he dares to attack us. I touch compassion angrily ordered. As a warrior class that fought force with force, I touch compassion's temper wasn't too soft. Tolerating once was the magnanimity of the United Heart Alliance, but if he wanted a foot after giving him an inch, then he would be shameless. With I touch compassion's words, the United Heart Alliance players had a pillar of support. Everyone quietly farmed their own monsters, ignoring Mingdu's arrogant behavior. Mingdu walked to the side of the United Heart Alliance with a smile. He didn't farm monsters, but just tilted his head and watched them level up. The United Heart Alliance players were puzzled. F***CK. Is there something wrong with this idiot? Is it fun to watch others level up? Just as the United Heart Alliance players were reducing a demonized yak to a sliver of health, the warrior went up to finish it off. Suddenly Mingdu moved. Lightning. Mingdu raised his hand, and a bolt of lightning descended from the sky, turning the demonized yak into dust in rebirth. When players formed a party to kill monsters, they would split the experience equally. If they didn't form a party, the other players would still get the experience, but the player who dealt the last hit would get 50% of the total experience. In other words, Mingdu easily took away half of the experience with a lightning bolt. F***CK. The United Heart Alliance players were boiling with excitement. They formed a formation and glared at Mingdu. Their swords were drawn, and a battle was about to break out. Mingdu ignored them and continued to stare at the other monsters, waiting for the United Heart Alliance players to attack. I Touch Compassion walked out from the group and asked politely, "You must be the famous Heart of Violent Thunder." Mingdu smiled. He didn't say yes or no, but in my Touch Compassion's eyes, Mingdu had clearly admitted it. We are from the United Heart Alliance, and we have no grudges with the Berserk Sky Law. Isn't it bad for you to do this? I Touch Compassion said again. My hand slipped. Mingdu smiled. Slipped. I Touch Compassion heard this, and a cross-shaped bump popped up on his forehead. Who the hell was he kidding? It's true. Mingdu continued to say indifferently. Okay, I hope you can be more careful next time. I Touch Compassion glared at Mingdu and walked back to the party. I called out to everyone and continued to pull monsters to level. However, when the monster only had a sliver of health left, another lightning bolt descended from the sky. Sorry, my hand slipped again. Mingdu faced everyone's angry gazes and spread his hands with a smile. His expression was as annoying as ever. Chapter 244. Motherf **Ker. A bad-tempered mage from the Alliance cursed and threw a lightning bolt at Mingdu. Mingdu drank a health potion and sneered at the player. He thought to himself, I was waiting for you to make a move. Seeing Mingdu looking at him, the player pointed his middle finger at him and scolded, My hand slipped too. What's wrong? Very good. Mingdu raised his staff and a bolt of lightning fell. The player turned into a ray of light and flew away. At this time, the other members of the Alliance had also launched their lightning bolt. Mingdu took a step back and easily dodged them. This was the weakness of lightning spells. They were non-directional and required a lot of preparation. Without Mingdu's ability to predict, their hit rate in PKs was very low. After Mingdu dodged the skills of the mages, he activated level 15 lightning enhancement. His magic damage increased by a large amount. Immediately after, Mingdu threw out level 20 lightning impact and arcane missile. The two skills instantly killed the shield warrior touching mercy. F***ck. Seeing that touching mercy was instantly killed, everyone panicked. They were all brothers from the same guild, so they were very clear about touching mercy's HP and defense. Two skills were enough to instantly kill him. His magic damage was simply terrifying. Thunderstorm City's #1 mage wasn't just for show. With the Profoundness magic orb in hand, Bright Dow's casting speed and cooldown were both much faster than the average person's. After killing I Touch Mercy, everyone else's lightning spell was still on cooldown. Bright Dow's lightning spell was also on cooldown. Fireball. Mages were born with Fireball. Level 5 was Fire Shield, also known as Resistance Ring of Fire. Level 10 was Lightning Spell, and level 15 was Lightning Enhancement. These mages were not level 20 experts, so their current attack methods were only Fireball and Lightning Spell. Seeing Mingdu raise his staff again, the four of them each threw a Fireball at Mingdu. Fireball was a directional skill, so it couldn't be dodged. However, Fireball was a level 1 spell, so no one would spend time to practice it. Its attack power was very low. Mingdu didn't have any intention of dodging. The instant before the Fireball hit him, he threw out a Thunderbolt and a Fireball. 2 white lights flashed, and 2 more people were killed. The other 2 had also finished their lightning spells and were about to cast their spells, when Mingdu's Lightning Blast and Arcane Missiles were already in front of them. Another 2 streaks of white light flashed, and 2 people were killed. The team of 7 now only had 1 useless priest left. In the face of Mingdu's instant kill spell, the priest was really useless. After dealing with the cleric, Mingdu sent a message to Chun Xiang and Wang Yu. "Okay, it's your turn." After receiving the message, Wang Yu, who was drinking with Chun Xiang in the tavern, put down the wine glass in his hand and left the city. After Wang Yu left, Chun Xiang also swung his arms and left the tavern. Then, he followed the main road and walked towards the city lord's residence. In the resurrection point of Thunderstorm City, the players from Unity Alliance who were killed by Mingdu weren't in a good mood. As soon as they resurrected, their faces darkened and they cursed, "Damn, Heart of Violent Thunder, F***CKU. Heart of Violent Thunder's reputation in Thunderstorm City wasn't inferior to that of Chuanjin in Yuhuiqing. Moreover, Heart of Violent Thunder's reputation wasn't good either, and killing people was a common occurrence. Therefore, when the other people in the resurrection point heard that someone was killed by Heart of Violent Thunder, not only did they not admit defeat, they even dared to curse. Therefore, they all turned their heads to see which hero had such courage. After seeing the emblem of Unity Alliance, everyone immediately understood. So it was Unity Alliance, then it made sense. This was because everyone knew that no matter how strong Heart of Violent Thunder was, no matter how bad his temper was, the #1 expert was still not him, but thought Luyun of Unity Alliance. Since ancient times, players had always been interested in watching a good show. Seeing this kind of gossip, they naturally wanted to gossip about it. Is Unity Alliance going to fight to the death with Violent Sky Law? Are you serious? The two guilds usually don't have any conflicts. It's true, I just met someone from Unity Alliance at the resurrection point. I think they were killed by World of Violent Thunder. Damn, this is going to be interesting again. Compared to the real world, there were forums, voice transmissions, and loudspeakers used to cheat money in the game. Therefore, the speed at which news spread was dizzying. Not long after Wang Yu left the tavern, the news had already reached Fish Watching Underwater. What happened? Are the rumors true? Fish Watching Underwater asked strangely in the guild channel. It's true. We were leveling when Heart of Violent Thunder came to the leveling area and attacked us. He relied on his good equipment and killed us all. I said compassion. At the same time, I didn't forget to find a reason for my failure. I said that others had good equipment, not me. Fuck, he's clearly looking for trouble. We can't tolerate this. Fish watching underwater had been the guild leader for so many years and naturally knew how to win people's hearts. Although fish watching underwater didn't dare to cause trouble at this time, he had to teach them a lesson. Lu Yun, go talk to Heart of Violent Thunder. Let him understand that our Unity Alliance isn't to be trifled with, thought Lu Yun. Lu Yun was actually next to fish watching underwater, but to express his stance, fish watching underwater circled thought Lu Yun. It could be seen that this person was very good at manipulating people. As expected, he used to be the guild leader of a big guild. Just scare him a little, try not to kill him. This is the early stage of the game, we will be at a disadvantage if we fight. After expressing his stance in the guild channel, fish watching underwater exited the channel and said to Thought Lu Yun. Thought Lu Yun nodded. I know what to do. Finding someone to fight Heart of Violent Thunder. I had to say, fish watching underwater did a great job. He could win people's hearts and avoid conflict. However, everything was afraid of a traitor. Especially when it came to guilds. They had 300 to 500 people, or even 1,000 people. Planting a traitor was unavoidable. Violent Heavenly Punishment had been on guard against Unity Alliance for a long time, so before this, he had planted his own people in Unity Alliance. Right after fish watching underwater told Thought Lu Yun to cause trouble for Heart of Violent Thunder, Violent Heavenly Punishment's leader, Violent Thunder God, received a chat screenshot from the traitor. When Violent Thunder God received the message, he didn't relax. He smiled and said, fish watching underwater isn't stupid. Thought Lu Yun won't actually attack. Sigh, this Violent Thunder, I already told him not to be so arrogant. Now he's attracted that monster, thought Lu Yun. I'll tell him to be careful later. Closing the chat, Violent Thunder God sent a message to Heart of Violent Thunder. Violent Thunder, where are you? Leveling, Violent Thunder God wasn't surprised by Heart of Violent Thunder's answer. After all, this kid was a leveling maniac. I heard you killed someone again? Violent Thunder God asked. Heart of Violent Thunder said indifferently, there's always some bastard coming to cause trouble. Why? Did I cause trouble for you? It seemed that this kid really did kill someone. No, of course not. Violent Thunder God hurriedly said, the people you killed seem to be from Unity Alliance. Thought Lu Yun has already gone to find you. It's best if you hide for now. Chapter 245. Nian Lu Yun. Hearing this name, Raging Thunder Heart's eyelids twitched. Although the game had only been open for less than 2 weeks, Raging Thunderheart had not seen Flowing Cloud before. However, Raging Thunderheart had heard of Flowing Cloud. It was said that this Grandmaster of Combat was extraordinarily powerful. When the game had just been launched and everyone was around level 10, Nian Lu Yun fought with the Unity Alliance. It was not difficult for him to fight against 20 mages alone. Later, he was tricked into joining the Unity Alliance by Watcher Underwater. The mage class had always been OP. As the saying goes, a patch is a god and a patch is a god. It could be seen how powerful the mage class was. Everyone knew what a Grandmaster of Combat was like at the beginning. They were weak-skinned and could be killed with one skill from a Thunder Mage. It was unimaginable that they could fight against 20 mages. Therefore, when Raging Thunderheart heard that Nian Lu Yun was coming to find him, he was slightly shocked. However, Raging Thunderheart was an expert who had killed countless people. It was not his style to be scared off by a single sentence. Come on, they say that he is the #1 expert of Thunderstorm City. I want to compete with him. Raging Thunderheart replied. As an expert of Thunderstorm City, he was always suppressed by Nian Lu Yun. Raging Thunderheart was still very dissatisfied. Then you have to be careful. I heard that kid is ruthless. Raging Thunder God said. Raging Thunderheart said, I know. Closing the message bar, Raging Thunderheart muttered to himself, Nian Lu Yun? Interesting. I also want to see what kind of person can be called the #1 expert. At the same time, Wang Yu had already left the city gate. Wang Yu did not recognize Raging Sky Law's guild badge. Along the way, he asked everyone he met, "Do you know where Raging Thunderheart is?" Raging Thunderheart's popularity was not good. He went around killing people and stealing monsters. He was almost the scourge of Thunderstorm City. If it was not for Raging Sky Law's protection, no matter how strong he would only be exposed on the streets. Therefore, although everyone had a lot of opinions about Raging Thunderheart, they did not dare to say anything. Now, almost everyone in Thunderstorm City had heard the news that Heart of Violent Thunder had provoked the Unity Alliance. Now that they saw a Grandmaster of Combat asking for directions, of course, they were all eager to add insult to injury. Under the guidance of the players, Wang Yu arrived at the level 25-30 area. Mad Thunder's Heart was one of the few experts in the game. Naturally, he would not grind level 20 monsters. There weren't many players in the game who could fight monsters that were so many levels higher than them. Aside from the elite experts of the guilds, only the workshop's treasure hunting teams could survive here. At this moment, the number of people here could be counted with a single glance. Do you know where the Heart of Raging Thunder is? After arriving at the level 25-30 training area, Wang Yu grabbed a passerby and asked. The passerby had wanted to throw a tantrum, but when he saw Wang Yu dressed like a Grandmaster of Combat and had his face covered, he immediately thought of Nian Luyun. Hence, the passerby pointed at a lone player who occupied a large wilderness in the distance and said, "That person is, thanks." Wang Yu cupped his hands at the passerby and hurriedly walked up. Seeing Wang Yu's gesture of cupping his hands, the passerby and his friends patted their chests and thought that it was a close call. It was said that Nian Luyun also liked to do this on normal days. Walking in front of Heart of Violent Thunder, Wang Yu went straight to the point and asked, "Are you Heart of Violent Thunder?" Heart of Violent Thunder was shocked when he heard this. He raised his head and looked at Wang Yu, saying, "Nian Luyun?" Wang Yu did not answer, but said coldly, "I'm going to kill you today to let you know who you can provoke and who you can't. Otherwise, let alone you, even the entire Sky Law Guild will not be able to survive in Thunderstorm City." This line was what Chun Xiang told Wang Yu to say. He had to be as arrogant as possible in order to provoke the two guilds into fighting. Heart of Violent Thunder said angrily, "With just you?" As he spoke, Heart of Violent Thunder waved the staff in his hand and a bolt of lightning smashed towards Wang Yu. Wang Yu's collapsing fist rushed in front of Heart of Violent Thunder. Heart of Violent Thunder turned pale with fright and hurriedly waved his staff to smash Wang Yu. Wang Yu blocked the staff with his left arm and kicked down with his right foot, kicking Heart of Violent Thunder's calf. At the same time, his left elbow locked Heart of Violent Thunder's shoulder and his right elbow hit Heart of Violent Thunder's heart. Heart of Violent Thunder was beaten into white light on the spot. Wang Yu had always been one to kill people in a second. This time, in order to let Heart of Violent Thunder see the path of his fist clearly, he deliberately killed him in 2 moves. From the time Wang Yu arrived to the time he killed Heart of Violent Thunder, it was less than 20 seconds. The surrounding players were all stunned. It had to be known that even experts like them had to submit to Mad Thunderheart's tyranny in this area. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given up such a large leveling area. F***CK, is that for real? That's Heart of Violent Thunder, and he was killed so casually, the crowd said in shock. Casually? Wang Yu was speechless when he heard the player's words. This move, Elbow Strike, was a fierce close combat move in Bajiquan. It used both hands and feet to subdue the enemy in one move. If Thought Luyun heard the words casually, he would definitely chase after them. However, Wang Yu's evaluation of the players couldn't be refuted. After all, in the players' eyes, Wang Yu's 2 moves weren't system skills. At most, it was a normal attack. After killing Heart of Violent Thunder, Wang Yu quietly left, leaving behind a group of amazed players. At this time, Heart of Violent Thunder met the real Thought Luyun outside the resurrection point. Thought Luyun didn't know who Heart of Violent Thunder was. The common problem of martial arts practitioners was that their brains were a little unstable. At this moment, Thought Luyun was like Wang Yu, dragging a passerby to find Heart of Violent Thunder. Where is Heart of Violent Thunder? Do you know? Thought Luyun asked all the way to Heart of Violent Thunder's side. When Wang Yu killed Heart of Violent Thunder, he was masked. At this time, Heart of Violent Thunder was also confused when he saw Thought Luyun. He asked unhappily, "Who are you? Why are you looking for Heart of Violent Thunder?" Thought Luyun smiled and said, "I'm Thought Luyun, F***ck your mother." Before Thought Luyun could finish speaking, Violent Thunder interrupted him with a roar. At the same time, he grabbed a bolt of lightning and threw it over. The same burst fist, the same elbow strike, and Heart of Violent Thunder was hit into the resurrection point for the second time. Who is this person? His mouth is full of dirty words. How annoying! After killing someone, Thought Luyun was confused. Heart of Violent Thunder, who appeared in the resurrection point once again, completely exploded. He shouted in the guild channel, "Thunder God, I've been killed. Avenge me!" The others in the guild were shocked. Who is it? How could it kill you? As the #1 expert in the guild, Heart of Violent Thunder's character was a little bad, but his strength was still very recognized. Thought Luyun. Heart of Violent Thunder said through gritted teeth. F***ck, Thought Luyun really went to find you? The people of Violent Sky Law more or less heard some rumors. Heart of Violent Thunder said, he killed me twice. This son of AB**TCH said that he would make Violent Sky Law unable to survive in Thunderstorm City. Damn, he's too arrogant. Chapter 246. Raging Thunderheart didn't know how to behave normally. Not only did he have a bad reputation in Thunderstorm City, he was also quite unsociable in the guild. Apart from dungeons, he never participated in any guild activities. Even in dungeons, he was often arrogant. If it wasn't for his strength, even Raging Thunder God wouldn't have liked him. Looking at the guild from the perspective of the members, no one would like someone who caused trouble everywhere and brought shame to the guild. Hence, when the guild members heard that Violent Thunderheart had been killed twice by Thought Luyun, not only did they not get angry, but they even took pleasure in Violent Thunderheart's misfortune. They inwardly thought that someone had finally beaten up a show-off. Even Violent Thunderheart's final words were ignored by everyone. When a person was enraged, there was an 80% chance that their words would be exaggerated. However, at this moment, someone in the guild sent another message. F***ck, we were leveling up when a Grandmaster of Combat suddenly appeared and killed us. Raging Thunder God's members were shocked. What kind of Grandmaster of Combat? The person who was killed said, he was wearing a mask, we couldn't see his face clearly, and he didn't use any skills. With just a few punches and kicks, he instantly killed our entire team. He even said that he would make Raging Thunder God's name disappear. F***ck, it's Nian Luyun again? Everyone shouted in unison. Nian Luyun's killing methods were extremely familiar to the people of Thunderstorm City. He didn't use many skills and his attacks were extremely ruthless. With just a few punches and kicks, he could take someone's life. This was all Nian Luyun's specialty. More importantly, other than Nian Luyun, there was no other Grandmaster of Combat in Thunderstorm City who could single-handedly destroy an entire team. F***ck, Unity Alliance is shitting on our heads. Raging Thunder God shouted angrily. Boss, don't you think your wording is a little disgusting? Someone reminded softly. If they want a bully, then bully. Can you all listen to the main point? What should we do if Unity Alliance is purposely looking for trouble? Raging Thunder God asked loudly in the guild channel. Of course we're going to beat them up. Everyone yelled. Raging Thunder God, one could tell just by looking at their name. Every one of them had a bad temper. As the number one guild in Thunderstorm City, how could they be provoked so easily? Under Raging Thunder God's command, all the guild members who were leveling outside returned to the Iron Cliff Castle encampment and were teleported to the Thunderstorm City teleportation point. After arriving at Thunderstorm City, everyone immediately split into groups and ran to the leveling area outside the city. All the members who saw Unity Alliance players were killed without a second word. Before long, the guild channel of United Alliance was in a state of chaos. Raging Thunder Alliance, F***CK, what's going on? Mother F***Ker, this bunch of trash. They were the ones who started it, and now they dare to start it again. Unreasonable. Using the word reasonable in the game, it seemed like this brother was the same as Wang Yu, a noob in the game. The guild channel was filled with chatter and chaos. Everyone wanted to form a group and face Raging Thunder God head-on. Underwater Watching Fish had a headache. He felt that there was something fishy going on, but he didn't know where to start. He could only ask Nian Luyun. Luyun, I told you to go talk to Raging Thunderheart. What did you do to him? I haven't found him yet. Nian Luyun's conversational skills were out of this world. One sentence was enough to make Underwater Watching Fish speechless. How is that possible? Right now, Raging Thunder God is killing our people. Underwater Watching Fish said anxiously. Originally, Underwater Watching Fish had planned to let Nian Luyun talk to Raging Thunderheart. At most, he could teach Raging Thunderheart a lesson. Everyone in Thunderstorm City had witnessed Raging Thunderheart's character. With Raging Thunder God's personality, the most he would do was to comfort Nian Luyun verbally. There was no way Raging Thunder God would cause such a huge ruckus. However, why was the situation different from what he had expected? Aside from Thought Luyun, Unity Alliance did not have many capable experts. Meanwhile, Divine Wrath's Berserk class advancement experts outnumbered even the elite members of Unity Alliance. If Unity Alliance clashed head-on with Divine Wrath, only death would await them. However, in the face of the rage of so many of Unity Alliance's brothers, even wise fish Underwater did not dare to say no. After all, Unity Alliance did not have a guild encampment. If a member died, they would at most lose experience. However, if they lost their morale, they would not be able to regain it. Oh, right, but when I was looking for Raging Thunderheart, I met a mage. When he heard my name, he attacked me. He was a player from Raging Thunder God, Nian Luyun said. What did he look like? As a guild leader, Nian Luyun had once tried to recruit Raging Thunderheart. Not only had she failed, but she had also been looked down upon. However, she did remember Raging Thunderheart's appearance. Nian Luyun said, he wasn't tall. He looked quite wretched. Crap. That's Raging Thunder God. Underwater Watching Fish shouted. What did you do to him? Of course I'm going to kill him. Nian Luyun's words were filled with a ruthlessness that would not offend others if they did not offend him. Damn. You're ruthless. Forget it. Since things have come to this, we can only fight. Underwater Watching Fish sighed. Since someone had already died, this matter would not be easily resolved. If they surrendered now, not only would the players of Unity Alliance fall apart, but Raging Thunder God would also demand a lot more compensation. In the game, only those with sufficient strength had the right to speak at the negotiation table. In any case, the United Hearts Alliance had nothing to lose. If the difference in strength wasn't too great, they would fight to the death against a group of fearless players. Berserk Heavenly Punishment wouldn't fare any better than this group of fearless players. Although this matter was caused by Nian Luyun, Underwater Watching Fish did not dare to reprimand Nian Luyun. This was because Underwater Watching Fish was a smart person. He understood Nian Luyun's value and strength. This kind of person needed to be praised. Only by listening to his words could they win him over. Otherwise, it would be a bigger nightmare to make an enemy of such an expert. Everyone gather. We're going to counterattack. Watching Fish Under the Water's command, One Heart Alliance's blood was boiling. No one wanted to be bullied in a game. Even if Sky Law Berserk's players far surpassed them in terms of quantity and quality, they weren't willing to give in. After all, if they didn't work hard, how would they know what despair was? Unity Alliance had close to 500 people, while Raging Thunder God had close to 1,000. With hundreds and thousands of people gathered together, the scene was quite grand. These two guilds appeared at the teleportation point one after the other, causing the spectating players in Thunderstorm City to choke with excitement. At this time, Spring Soar, who was standing at the highest point of Thunderstorm City, looked down. After seeing the two guilds gather, he smiled and sent a message to Wang Yu and Ming Du. Good job. It's time to close the net. Chapter 247. At this time, Thunderstorm City was filled with people from the two major guilds. Wang Yu and Ming Du had met the people from the two major guilds before. If they returned to the city now, they would definitely be recognized. Thus, they agreed to wait for Chun Xiang on the road to Iron Rock Castle. The battle between the two major guilds was getting more and more intense. The gates of Thunderstorm City were already sealed and no one was allowed to pass. However, this was not a problem for Chun Xiang. Chun Xiang turned into a cloud of mist and floated out of the city. When they arrived at the agreed location, Wang Yu and Ming Du had already arrived. Hurry up, we don't have much time, Chun Xiang said. What? Wang Yu and Ming Du were a bit confused. If they start fighting, won't it take a day and a night? I know Fish Watcher Underwater very well. At this time, he definitely has no intention of fighting head-on. The reason why Unity Alliance can fight with Sky Law Berserk is because they have no other choice. Chun Xiang said. Then how much time do we have? Wang Yu asked. At most an hour. Wang Yu asked gloomily. Damn, then why didn't you just find another guild from the start? Chun Xiang said. Unity Alliance only has thought Flowing Cloud to be able to fight against Sky Law Berserk. If it was another guild, they probably wouldn't even be able to last half an hour. They might even surrender without a fight. Besides, I know Fish Watcher Underwater better, so it's easier to scheme against him. I think Fish Watcher Underwater is not a bad person. Why do you guys have such a big grudge against him? Wang Yu asked curiously. Fish Watcher Underwater was a bit hostile towards Ming Du and Chun Xiang, but he was still very polite towards Wang Yu. Ming Du scolded angrily. Not bad my ass. The first guild leader of Chuanjin left the game because of him. He's already lucky that we didn't kill him. This bastard, when we get back, we'll call Wuji and beat him up again. Looking at Ming Du's tone, it seemed that Chuanjin and Fish Watcher Underwater really had a big grudge. Iron Rock Castle was located at the foot of Thunderstorm City, not far west of the mountain range. The three of them chatted as they walked, and soon, they arrived in front of the legendary fortress. Just as the rumors said, the Iron Rock Castle stood majestically on the main road between the two factions. The entire castle was constructed entirely of hard black rock, and the surface of the black rock was enchanted with a strengthening spell. Its hardness could withstand any kind of magic. From afar, the Iron Cliff Castle looked like a mountain, giving people a feeling of indestructibility. It's really not easy to take down this kind of stronghold. Chun Xiang secretly clicked his tongue. There were two ways to obtain a guild residence. The first way was to establish a base in a leveling area. Once the base had withstood the attacks of the natives, they would obtain a guild residence. The other way was to attack the original stronghold. After accepting the siege quest, they would organize guild players to break through the stronghold's gate, and the stronghold would become the guild's residence. The Iron Rock Castle had stood here since ancient times, so if Berserk Sky Law's people could use the Iron Rock Castle as a residence, they would definitely choose the second method. A residence that was built by oneself could be upgraded through quests, but a residence that was attacked couldn't. Moreover, if the gate was broken through by other guilds, they would need to find craftsmen in the city to repair it, which would cost a lot of money. Therefore, most players preferred to build their own residences. Of course, for a super stronghold like the Iron Rock Castle, whose technology tree and defense were already top-notch, it was estimated that from now until the game closed, there would be no players' residences that could compare to it. Mingdu said, "The Iron Rock Castle is the base of the human army. Berserk Sky Law obtained this residence by completing a quest and didn't attack it. Because of this, the real defense of this Iron Rock Castle is actually far from the original." "So that's how it is." Chun Xiang nodded his head. Just now, Chun Xiang was still thinking that if someone built a castle like this in the game, wouldn't they already be in an invincible position? It seemed like the system wouldn't allow anyone to break the game's balance. "How do we enter now?" Wang Yu asked Mingdu. Currently, the gates of the Iron Rock Castle were tightly shut. If they forcefully opened the gates, the system would definitely notify them that a guild had invaded. This was something that Chun Xiang had already explained before they came. "Follow me." As he said this, Mingdu took out a palm-sized map, and then led Wang Yu and Chun Xiang around the main gate, arriving at the corner of the Iron Rock Castle. Mingdu walked to the side of a large rock, and then took out a gem and embedded it. The rock moved to the side, revealing a secret passage. This is a secret passage that Mage Ryan discovered. It can directly lead to the interior of the Iron Rock Castle. Mingdu said, "Since there's a secret passage, why are you so troubled?" Chun Xiang asked in confusion. Mingdu explained, "This isn't just a secret passage, it's also a PvP instance dungeon. All players in the Iron Rock Castle will automatically be placed on the opposite side of our party." "Then you're really unlucky. You must have been chased quite a bit," Chun Xiang said sympathetically. "I died once," Mingdu said. "Once you enter this dungeon, you can't leave on the spot. You can only leave through the exit." "No wonder." Wang Yu and Chun Xiang nodded their heads. After entering the dungeon, there would be an exit option, which allowed players to leave the dungeon on the spot. If they could only leave through the exit, no matter how strong Mingdu was, he wouldn't be able to stop so many people from going berserk. "Alright, there's not much time left. Let's quickly enter the dungeon." After understanding the rules of this dungeon, the three of them directly entered the secret passage. After entering the secret passage, the scenery changed and they arrived at the interior of the Iron Rock Castle. Inside the Iron Rock Castle, there was a bustling scene. Gnomes, and dwarves, the three legendary races were all here. Moreover, the various types of technology were exactly the same as the legendary Iron Rock Castle. Seeing this scene, both Wang Yu and Chun Xiang were stunned. Chun Xiang exclaimed, "Damn, this is a scenario dungeon." The scenario was commonly seen in online games. It was to enter a memory dungeon and play the role of a certain person to complete a certain quest. "Yes." Mingdu nodded his head and said, "These are all scenarios. It's not the current scene, it's a projection from before the war between races." Just as Mingdu finished speaking, Wang Yu received a system notification. "System notification. You have entered a special scenario. You will play the role of Hermit Semel and help the King of Dwarves defeat the Gnome Lord and Gnome Leader. Final reward: Simba's Ruler. Quest notification. This quest is a guild expedition quest. Before leaving the dungeon, all quest rewards and items will be dropped upon death. Current enemy guild players. 0. After receiving the quest, Wang Yu's body transformed into the appearance of a thin and weak fighter. Mingdu and Chun Xiang also changed their appearances. Chun Xiang became a tall and thin man wearing a black and white cloak, while Mingdu became a pot-bellied blue-robed wizard. Chapter 248. Seeing that everyone had changed, the three of them hurriedly shared the quest. Then, the three of them cursed the system for being a scammer. This instance dungeon was a guild expedition quest. Strictly speaking, Wang Yu, Mingdu, and Chun Xiang were actually on the same side. However, this quest was truly a collision quest. Mingdu transformed into rain and helped the Goblin Lord defeat the Dwarf King and the Gnome Leader. Chun Xiang transformed into a druid and helped the infused leader defeat the Dwarf King and the Gnome Lord. The three of them were originally on the same side, but now they had become enemies. What was even more puzzling was that this was a competition between the three of them. Why did the people from Sky Law Berserk have to forcefully interfere? What should we do? Should we really play rock, paper, scissors? Chun Xiang suggested. There could only be one winner of this quest. Instead of killing each other, it was better to work together and help one of them. Chun Xiang's quest was a hidden class advancement quest. In terms of rewards, the other two's quests were actually not as good as Chun Xiang's. Therefore, it was most suitable to give the quest to Chun Xiang. After all, with their relationship with Xuanzhen, if Chun Xiang asked Wang Yu and Wang Yu to give up their quest, the two of them would definitely not refuse. Chun Xiang took the initiative to suggest this. The main reason was that if he forced the two of them to give up their quest because of his generous rewards, he would feel very sorry for the two of them. After all, the hidden class was also very powerful, and Wang Yu's quest was bought with a large sum of money. Forget it, I was just joking. Let's give the quest to Brother Chun. As for the hidden class, Brother Chun can just give us some compensation when the time comes. What do you think, Iron Ox? Mingdu said very magnanimously. I feel like this quest isn't right. Wang Yu frowned. Tell me, what's wrong? Chun Xiang asked. Wang Yu said, since our opposing faction is Sky Law Berserk, then we must be on the same side, right? Chun Xiang nodded and said, yes, in theory, yes. Then, the mission didn't say that we have to be enemies, right? Wang Yu asked again. Mingdu said, not literally, but isn't the meaning obvious? Asking each of us to help one of them defeat the other two. Doesn't that make us enemies? If that's the case, then there's no point in the system summoning the Berserk Divine Wrath. More importantly, our goal is to defeat the other two. In other words, defeating these three NPCs is our goal, Wang Yu explained. Holy shit, it can't be. You can do that? Mingdu was shocked. Mingdu had dealt with intelligent NPCs before, but he had never played word games with the system. I think what Iron Ox said makes sense. Chun Xiang said, the system can't possibly make enemies out of people in the same faction. Otherwise, it could just divide them into 4 factions. Besides, does your mission have a failure condition? There isn't. Mingdu shook his head. Dungeon missions usually had a failure condition, especially for this kind of scenario dungeon. The failure condition had to be clearly stated. Seeing that Mingdu was skeptical, Wang Yu simply said, since we're enemies, we'll kill Brother Chun's quest target first. If we don't fail after Brother Chun's quest is completed, then my idea is definitely correct. When that time comes, we'll just kill the last one. Okay, let's do that. Mingdu nodded. Chun Xiang also followed and said, okay, let's do as Iron Ox says. Wang Yu's suggestion was also biased towards Chun Xiang, but since it had already been said, if Chun Xiang still refused, it would seem a bit pretentious. Mingdu had done this quest before, so he was familiar with the process. He brought Wang Yu and Chun Xiang around a few buildings and arrived in front of the conference hall. Once we enter the conference hall, Berserk Heavenly Punishment will receive a notification, so we have to be quick. As he said this, Mingdu pushed open the door and walked in. Wang Yu and Chun Xiang followed closely behind. After entering the conference hall, the three of them saw 3 NPCs in the middle of a huge argument. The smell of gunpowder was very strong, and they looked like they were about to start a fight. At the same time, Berserk Heavenly Punishment, who were in the middle of fighting with Heart Alliance, suddenly received a guild notification. Your guild has been activated, Iron Rock Castle Sealed Soul quest. Please return to the encampment immediately and prevent the seal from being broken. F***CK. Seeing this notification, Berserk Heavenly Punishment felt as if someone had poured cold water over their head. They suddenly shivered and cursed, "It's that bitch again. She's actually activating a quest at this time." Today, Mingdu had tormented Berserk Heavenly Punishment quite a bit. It was only after the last Berserk Heavenly Punishment was killed that they stopped for a while. Berserk Heavenly Punishment thought that Mingdu had retreated in the face of difficulty. Who would have thought that he would actually sneak in again at this time? However, at this time, everyone was busy fighting. The resurrection point in the city was also surrounded by players. Wanting to stop the battle and return to the encampment at this time was not something that could be done easily. "Boss, what should we do?" After receiving the notification, Berserk Heavenly Punishment asked Thunder God for his opinion. Berserk Heavenly Punishment was the one who started this guild war. If they ended it anticlimactic, Berserk Heavenly Punishment would definitely be the one to lose face. However, their nest was being ambushed, so they could not just ignore it. "That brat is alone. He won't be able to break the seal in a short time. Let's send some people back to the encampment first," Thunder God said. "2 squads should be enough, that's enough. He's only one person. No matter how fast he runs, it's useless," Thunder God said. Berserk Heavenly Punishment had fought against Mingdu before. At that time, Mingdu did not have the opportunity to fight back. He only cared about charging out. Therefore, Berserk Heavenly Punishment's people did not have a good understanding of Mingdu's strength. They only thought that this fellow only knew how to run away. Little did they know, this time, Mingdu had called for 2 helpers in the conference room of Ironrock Castle. The 3 leaders who were arguing immediately stopped when they saw Wang Yu's group of 3 enter. The Dwarf King walked up to Wang Yu and said, "My friend, you've come at the right time. These 2 despicable worms actually dare to look down on the descendants of the great war god. Can you help me squash them to death?" This dwarf was not very big, but his tone was not small. He spoke as if the other 2 were ants. The gnome and gnome also walked up to Mingdu and Chunxiang and made the same request. The 3 looked at each other and used detect on the 3 NPCs, Dwarf King, 21, Silver Boss, Elite, HP, 200,000 MP, 5,000 skills, Thunderhammer, Power of Storm Gnome Lord, 21, Silver Boss, Elite, HP, 15,000 MP, 15,000 skills, Flame Shot, Voltage Overload Gnome Leader, 21, Silver Boss, Elite, HP, 100,000 MP, 20,000. Chapter 249. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go? Shua.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. The attributes of the 3 bosses were very average. Their levels were also set according to the highest level of the party, Wang Yu. It was clear that the most difficult part of this quest was not these 3 bosses. If Chun Xiang hadn't arranged for Berserk Heavenly Punishment and Heart Alliance to fight each other, the 3 of them would have to face at least 500 players. With such a huge faction gap, if the boss was set to be overpowered, would anyone even be able to play the game? At this time, faced with the request of the 3 bosses, Mingdu asked, "I can help you, but are there any benefits?" Wang Yu exclaimed, "Tisk tsk," as expected of Mingdu. Taking advantage of someone else's misfortune is so easy. Hearing Mingdu's words, the Gnome Lord was dazed for a moment before replying, "Great Sir Ryan, when you were helping us fight against the Dark Army back then, you left behind a notebook. I kept it and modified the magic of the opposite side. If you can eliminate these 2 bugs, I am willing to give you the notebook." Hearing the Goblin Lord's words, Wang Yu and Chun Xiang stared at the Dwarf King and the Gnome Leader. The 2 bosses had probably never been stared at like this before. They only felt a tingling sensation on their back. "I also have a notebook that contains some improvements to summoning spells. I'm willing to give you the divine weapon left behind by the craftsman god." the dwarf leader and the dwarf king declared that as long as they could get rid of the other party, they would give them whatever they wanted. These three little guys weren't like idiot. The things they did were really baffling. Love go small say, Netka. Following that, Chun Xiang said something that made Wang Yu admire him from the bottom of his heart. Chun Xiang said, "I'm afraid you're lying to me. Can you give me the item first?" Lian Mingdu was shocked to the extreme by Chun Xiang's words. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier. Wang Yu felt that Mingdu's behavior of taking advantage of a burning house was shameless enough. He didn't expect Chun Xiang to take the initiative to bluff him. How wretched was this person's personality to be able to trick even the boss. That's against the rules, the pygmy leader said hesitantly. I actually have a good relationship with these two brothers. Chun Xiang pointed at Wang Yu and Mingdu. The gnome leader was indeed an intelligent boss. He immediately understood Chun Xiang's threat. He reluctantly took out a stack of paper and handed it to Chun Xiang. F***ck. Chun Xiang took the draft paper and looked at it. He cursed and threw it into his bag. Wang Yu and Mingdu received the items from the Dwarf King and Goblin Overlord. Simba's Ruler. Rare item, quest item. Activate after helping the Dwarf King defeat the Goblin Lord 0-1 and the Gnome Leader 0-1. It seemed that there was indeed a mountain higher than the one before. Compared to the wretched system god, Chun Xiang was still slightly inferior. Love go small say Netko. However, the introduction of the quest item made Wang Yu even more certain of his thoughts. As long as they killed these three bosses, the quest for the three of them would be completed. I've given you the items. Now, help me kill them. Since the quest item was given in advance, the bosses spoke confidently and with a commanding tone. Okay. Wang Yu replied and dashed towards the Goblin Lord. Chun Xiang summoned a demon and threw out clouds of poisonous fog. Zzzt, the Goblin Lord's arms shook, and a circle of lightning appeared on its body. Chun Xiang's 6 demons lost half of their HP. Then, the Goblin Lord took out a gun and aimed at Chun Xiang. F***ck. Such strong magic damage. Chun Xiang was shocked. Before the imp summon skill was assimilated, the imp's HP was similar to Chun Xiang's. Now, the assimilated demon's HP was much higher than Chun Xiang's. If the Goblin Lord's AoE skill was so powerful, a single target skill could probably kill Chun Xiang. Realizing this, Chun Xiang hurriedly walked in a Z-shape in a flirtatious manner. At this moment, Wang Yu had already dashed in front of the Goblin Lord. He grabbed the Goblin Lord's neck and hooked one of his legs on the Goblin Lord's calf. The Goblin Lord was only a level 21 intelligence-type boss. Its body was relatively weak. Wang Yu's move easily threw the Goblin Lord to the ground. Then, Wang Yu stepped on it and hammered it. Seeing that Wang Yu had captured a boss, Mingdu and Chun Xiang turned their attention to the Dwarf King. The Dwarf King had thick HP and was extremely strong. Even Wang Yu had to dodge and fight against this kind of strength-type boss. However, Chun Xiang and Mingdu dealt with it easily. Chun Xiang threw poison to reduce the Dwarf King's speed. He controlled the Dwarf King like a grandchild while Mingdu threw skills at him. Mingdu's damage was comparable to Wang Yu's. As a warrior, the Dwarf King's magic resistance was obviously not very high. Under the torture of Mingdu and Chun Xiang, it was on the verge of death. They didn't know what the system's aggro setting was. Just as the other two bosses were about to be killed, the gnome leader, who had been watching from the side, seemed to have realized that these three bad guys wanted to kill all of them. So, the gnome leader screamed, took out an aircraft and sat on it. With a whoosh, it flew to the roof and surrounded the three of them and started shooting. This gnome leader was an agility-type boss. It didn't have high attack or strength, but its skills were much more disgusting than the other two. This guy flew the aircraft around the house. It swooped, rose, and hovered. Its skills were even better than a pilot. While doing these stunts, the gnome leader didn't forget to throw things on the ground. The things that the gnome leader threw were black, and when they fell to the ground, they turned into mechanical warriors. These mechanical warriors all had around 10,000 HP and high defense. Although their attacks were a little slow, they had a dizzy effect. Other than annoying and disgusting, there was no other word to describe them. Kill the gnome lord first. Chun Xiang threw out a distortion barrier, controlling the mechanical warriors in place, and then threw a toxic nova on the gnome lord. Mingdu had a thunder spear in his left hand and a lightning bolt in his right. Together with Wang Yu's fists and legs, the gnome lord was beaten to death in a few hits. Old Li, how was it? Did you fail the mission? After killing the gnome lord, Chun Xiang asked Mingdu. No. Mingdu was surprised. That's good. Then kill the dwarf king. The boxing glove in Wang Yu's hand turned into a long staff. He used it on the ground and flew over the mechanical warrior's head. Thunder step followed by eagle step, 4 kicks in a row, and the dwarf king's body swayed. The dwarf king roared and swung his hammer to hit Wang Yu. Wang Yu used his staff to hit the back of the dwarf king's neck and used the force to retreat. Chun Xiang's distortion barrier rose under the dwarf king's feet. Mingdu's lightning bolt, arcane impact. All the skills came at once, and the dwarf king was killed on the spot. Suddenly, a message flashed in front of the three of them. System notification. The enemy camp has joined the battlefield. There are currently 40 people. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.